Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Here we go. Rev your engines. Vroom, 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 vroom. Alex Navarro. Race car Alex Navarro. You gotta get that checked out, man. You got some water in your gasoline.
What is that? What is that fucking Hanna-Barbera cartoon with the talking buggy?
Yeah, the Speed Buggy.
Speed Buggy, that's right. Yeah, that show sucked ass.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bad. What was the shittiest Hanna-Barbera cartoon you can remember?
Oh, man.
Tough choice, because a lot of them are real bad.
A question like that. I'm just going to go look up a list of them now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the next 20 minutes of this podcast.
Okay. Let's see. There's Thundar the Barbarian. There's
Hanna-Barbera?
I'm pretty sure.
Dude, they were doing so many of those things. I think like Grape Ape was them.
Josie and the Pussycats. The
Hong Kong Phooey. I might have been them.
Jabberjaw.
Yeah.
So did they do the Herculoids?
You know, here's a really easy way to figure this out. Did Adult Swim do a comedy version of it? It probably was Hanna-Barbera at one time.
Oh, okay.
They did, in fact, do the Herculoids. I don't know. I have no idea what that is.
Herculoids was basically like Thundar, except it had Gleep and Gloop.
Oh, I remember Gleep and Gloop.
Yeah.
Do you remember the other Ghostbusters cartoon?
There's a Hanna-Barbera Ghostbusters cartoon?
Well, so there's the real Ghostbusters, which is the one that we all know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's called that because they launched a different Ghostbusters cartoon around the same time that was based on the original Ghostbusters movie, which was like a fucking, what is that? Is it Jamie Farr? I don't know, like whoever, like some 60s or 70s comedian. It had, like, the cartoon had a gorilla in it, I think. It was,
Oh, wait. I've seen that.
Yeah. You've probably seen some episodes of it. It's fucking terrible. But that's the thing, is they were just trying to cash in on the fact that Ghostbusters, the movie, got big. So they based it on the other thing, which Ghostbusters kind of took its name from.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, that's some really
paid.
That's some good license fuckery right there.
Yeah. You ain't gonna lock that shit down.
No.
Seems like looking at this list, Hanna-Barbera's strategy was to just never stop putting things out.
Yes.
Yep. Never stop. 5 frames at a time.
Make as many things as you can. Never stop. Never pay anyone very much money to do it.
Have you heard of the perils of Penelope Pitstop?
Boy, I haven't.
Or how about the Peter Potamus show?
That I do know.
Peter Potamus, yeah.
Oh, they did Pound Puppies.
Mm-hmm.
The Quick Draw McGraw show.
I remember Quick Draw McGraw.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
He's a horse. Got a hat.
Again, a lot of these characters wanted fucking Harvey Birdman attorney at law. That's part of the reason I know them.
Fair.
But I did see the Quick Draw McGraw show at least once or twice.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera, probably some kind of bad stories come out of that place. That place seemed like a mill.
It was. The thing I will say is that the one show that I do sort of defend of the Hanna-Barbera slate is the various Scooby-Doo things they did, but even that, going back and watching it, you can see where they cheaped even on their, like, one kind of good show.
Yeah. There's probably got to be... There's a documentary that is either out or coming out, or a dramatization of Hanna and Barbera.
The Hanna-Barbarians.
Hanna-Barbarians at the gate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
There's at least one show name in here that I'm afraid to read out loud because it might be considered vaguely racist.
That's the Hanna-Barbera way. Vaguely racist.
It's not Hong Kong Phooey, is it?
Nope.
What do you got?
Let's just move on.
What
character is it?
Leave out the racist part, and we'll see if I can.
I might be jumping to conclusions here. As it was in 1972, the Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan.
Oh, I don't know that one, but
I don't think that is inherently racist, but I bet the show is kind of racist.
That's really what it is. Is just you're afraid to pull up a cartoon from that era.
Yeah, the Asian stereotyping was really something back then.
Yes,
I would say most of the stereotyping they, maybe weren't the best at.
Here's what I will say: in the 70s, they had mostly gotten away from the really crude, like black stereotypes.
Yeah.
It was still open season on just about every other ethnicity.
They probably had gotten away from some of the Looney Tune-ish, really crude wartime.
Oh, yeah. They're not doing the stuff where, like, fucking Bugs Bunny is going in there and fucking, taking a fucking mallet to Emperor Hirohito or whatever. Like, that's not what they're doing. But
I feel like they Hanna-Barbera, to me, from what I remember, was right in the insert minority exploitation franchise, right? Like, where you're like, oh, like their characters are this stereotype but Americanized, and now this dog knows kung fu. Barely. Not really. Not in any real way.
But that's the thing, right? Is that at the time, that is the time when Grindhouse Kung Fu movies and
Totally.
like dubs of all that
Yeah.
like Shaw Brothers stuff were getting fucking big in the US. So they were just trying to capitalize on that stuff.
And they were like fairly, the stuff I saw, including Scooby-Doo, fairly into counterculture in a lot of like weird ways, like Josie and the Pussycats and like,
Oh yeah.
Jabberjaw. Like there are all these kind of like maybe hippie-ish bands going out there with the shark.
Sanitized, but yes, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what Shaggy's radical politics are, but, they definitely liked the part where he was kind of lazy and loved to eat.
Yeah, I bet all of them grew up to really be, concerned about their 401k and are went red at some point. Be like, look, they're talking to their kids or grandkids, probably their kids, and they're like, I did a lot of weird shit in my day, okay? At some point, you got to fucking grow up and stop hanging out with the shark. You know what happened to that shark? He's in prison for weed.
Yeah.
Uncle Jabber? Yeah.
In my mind, Shaggy in today's time is basically Michael Caine in Children of Men. He is just an aging hippie in the woods taking care of his aging dog and unplugged from society entirely as it grows increasingly fascistic.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He burned out hard.
Yeah. Pull my finger.
He did not become a yuppie. Well, that's like that was the counterculture fork in the road, right?
Yeah. Fred, 100% yuppie.
You either went investment banker or you completely destroyed what was left of your brain.
Does the Shaggy have like traps in the woods? Is he like, if you visit him, are you going to hit a tripwire?
No, because Fred was the trap guy. Remember, Fred was the one that was always setting traps.
I learned from you, Fred.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of episodes of some show. I made a new Mike Judge show. Common Side Effects.
I've seen a bunch of people talking about that.
I haven't seen it.
Is that Mike Judge?
I think he's associated with it because I see his name in the credits. It's like,
Okay.
all right, so far 3 episodes. Like kind of an interesting idea for a show. Pharma.
I think they took a pause on new Beavis and Butthead stuff, so it would make sense he would have something else going on right now.
I don't know like how deeply involved he is. He could be
Just producer or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Executive producer on One Voice, it looks like.
Okay.
Oh wait, does he do Hank Hill?
Yes, he does Hank Hill.
Okay, then there's a person who I think is the Hank Hill voice.
I mean, that's also the Mr. Anderson voice. It's just his Texas middle-aged to older guy voice.
Yeah, there's somebody who sounds a lot like Hank Hill. It's like the president of the pharmaceutical company.
Y'all
which I
got
assume-
that in there?
That's that. That's right. You did it.
Cheeseburger, fries, large coffee. Y'all got that in there?
Is King of the Hill is off the air?
You the two boys have been whacking off on my shit.
Yep.
Sorry, whacking.
Whacking. Yeah, what did they run for like 11 seasons of King of the Hill? It was on for a long time, but yeah, it's been off for a bit.
And there's new Beavis and Butthead going?
There was. They did, I want to say they technically called it 2 seasons of new Beavis and Butthead on the Paramount Plus.
Oh,
it was good, though.
Old is new. Yeah, they play music videos?
Some, it's kind of more like them watching like weird viral videos and other things, because that's kind of the thing dumb kids would watch today.
Yeah, that's
but
the modern.
There
We
was a
probably
little
talked
bit of
about
music
this.
video in there, yeah.
That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
what you would do. Things that don't make sense
Uh-huh.
that I'm still recovering from
Mhm.
at this hour is some. I have to mind my language here.
Okay.
Doofball
Uh-huh.
wanted to. We had a very mild snow here in New Jersey,
Not that bad.
1/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Dusting.
Dusting. Running some person. I think it's the landscaper, people who hire the landscaper to do the snow. Leaf blower at 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
to blow off the sidewalks in front of the house across the street from me and a couple of houses down the way from me. And my wife didn't mind because she's up around 6 a.m. I had about another 45 minutes to an hour of sleep, so I was pretty fucking pissed.
Fair.
I was pretty pissed. And then was complaining about it all morning during a walk
Mhm.
to everyone I saw. And then I hit one person
Uh-huh.
who lives on that block. And I was like, man, you gotta get a hold of that fucking leaf blower going this morning. Like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. I was like, yeah,
Wow.
fuck that guy. He's like, oh, fucking, just, like, slash his tires. I was like,
Well,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. He's
All
like,
right.
yeah. What's his address? I was like, oh, okay. All right.
You know, we don't have to go there. It's more talk. We're just a lot of talk. It's fine.
Like, yeah, fuck that guy. You know what we should do? I'm like, gonna back slowly down
I'm gonna get a sack full of fucking doorknobs. I'm going to his front door. Let's go.
Like, we'll bake him a treat. We'll put some fucking Epicot in there. We'll shit his pants all day, man. We'll fuck this guy up. Like, you know what?
You remember that part of the casino where they killed Joe Pesci? We're gonna do that. Let's go get a cornfield.
I was like, yeah, that was real loud. I'm gonna go back inside.
Yeah.
My wife sent them an email that said, "Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that."
Not on our
know
behalf.
who it was.
Well, they knew what the house was. My wife knows the landscaping company. We actually had them for like a hot second. I did not enjoy them, and so she sent the owner a thing that's like, "Hey, man, like, what the fuck?"
Oh, it was professionals doing it?
Yeah, it's like they're
I thought it was
landscapers doing it.
I thought it was just the neighbor.
No, they
Okay.
have like a company that comes by to do like snow stuff removal, and I was just like, because I was my wife, who's the better half, was like, okay, you're really mad. What the fuck do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, I'm just so mad. She's like, all right, I'll
I want to
email
stamp
the
my
owner.
feet about it.
And like I'll say like, hey man, did you know this was happening at your company? Like, yeah. And put like an angry face in it. Yeah. I was just like, I think I'm just in that place where like, they're just gonna get away with it because everybody gets away with everything now. What are you gonna do?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's just, I really want to emphasize this was not a notable snow. We had a much more notable snow some days ago, but like last night, I woke up and most of it was already melted.
I did a pass. I could just walk with the shovel with one hand, pushing.
There's no
pushing it out
ice,
of the way.
which the last snow had a ton of ice, which made it way more of a pain in the ass.
Oh, freaking leaf blowers blowing snow. What are you doing, man?
It's just such a lazy way to deal with it, man. I don't like it.
So dumb. Like, do you have to get that many houses done? Like, you couldn't walk faster than I was walking with a shovel. Like, you'd have to run. Like, I don't know how much faster a leaf blower would be with the snow at that point. Like, you're just, why does the world suck so much right now? Like, what? And why does it have to suck at before 7?
That is a big question.
How
much time you got?
I'm ready for 7 a.m. sucking. I am not ready for.
Tell me about the 7 a.m. sucking.
I'm not ready for pre 7 a.m. sucking. It's just nobody fucking signed up for that shit.
Listen, no sucking will take place between the hours of 4 and 6 a.m. All right, that is a city ordinance.
There's like already enough sucking going on at those hours.
Yeah,
you don't need extra sucking at those hours.
I agree.
Oh man. Anyway, it really throws your day off. And that would even that like 1 hour sleep.
No, it extremely does. And I've been having like insomnia lately, so that happened to me. I might actually go ballistic.
Could I propose just getting up sometime between 5 and 6 every day as a matter of course?
No thanks.
And then you won't have to worry about this.
I think I'd rather have the sweet embrace of death.
I think I'd be doing more than complaining about snowblowers at that point. I need my sleep.
I mean, it does require. I mean, I'm back in bed at 10 o'clock thing. So yes, there are trade-offs. There are trade-offs.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I respect that, but the thing is, I'm not so much not a morning person as I am diametrically opposed to the morning. Like, my body simply does not accept the idea that 6 a.m. exists.
I ration my time. I knew I had to be up at 6:45, 7, and so I was like, I can go to bed at 12:31. I've got stuff to do. That's my solid 6 to 7 hours of sleep there, which I don't endorse. Get full 8 hours, but I have a lot of shit to do. So I stayed up digging my fucking hole, and I was like, good. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed, and then somebody fucking woke me up at 6 o'clock. Damn it. You know, I even got mad. My dog will jump on the bed because my wife gets up at 6 and will jump on the bed. And I deal with it. Put my head under the covers. Yeah. He doesn't get that lick in, and then he goes away. You know, he just wants to. I consider that to be my dog is doing a life check on me.
Yeah.
Is like, are you alive?
Proof of
everybody
life.
Everybody else is up. I'm going to give you a big fat lick in the face. If you flinch, I'm going away.
Your dog is just walking up with a little hand mirror in his mouth and just like holding it under your nose.
Totally. Be like, yeah, he's alive. No, he's good.
All right,
he's
we're good. I'm still going to get fed today. It's fine.
We're going to go do something else. We'll talk about digging holes in a moment, but But let's talk about the fall of civilization or the rise of civilization.
Yeah.
I don't know. The civilization?
Timely. Civilization 7. It's here.
It's here. It should be Civilization 6 a.m.
And I think by now everyone can play it, or if they can't, they will by the time this goes live.
Yeah, the proper $70 version is out now.
Okay. I sprung for the expensive version because I was like, well, if I can be playing this right now, I should be. So I did, in fact, indulge in that. But yeah, Civ 7. So how much Civ 6 did you guys play?
I touched it. I can tell you that. I'd have to go look at my Steam profile. Like, I spent some time. I've just never been a huge Civ guy. I think I try them every time they come out and go like, okay, yeah, I'm still not sure this is for me, but cool.
Yeah.
I think I got off around Civ 2 or 3.
All right, so it's been some time.
It's been a little bit.
It's Ryan's fault that I got into Civ. Like, him going apeshit over Civ 5, I think, was the thing that finally made me turn the corner on it, and now I've been hopelessly addicted ever since. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the one that broke me, Alex, and maybe you know because I think it's probably in the middle there.
Yeah.
Maybe Civ 5 was maybe the one that I played a decent amount of.
Yeah, same. I'm looking. I put about 10 hours into Civ 5, it looks like.
There was one that just ran like absolute dog shit. And I remember having to zoom out of in order for a turn to take place, I had to zoom all the way out of the map to...
That might have been 5. I don't know, like early 5 before they fixed it.
Oh, so heartbreaking. Anyway, not a lot of 6.
No. And so basically what's going on with Civ 7 is they are definitely building on the back of Civ 6. A lot of the art assets and sort of like some of the progressional stuff feels like it's there from 6. But they've really shifted the way that ages and kind of the way leaders work. So there's really only 3 ages in the game. There's the ancient one. There's sort of like, I guess what would be equivalent to like the Renaissance era, kind of the lead up to what would be the industrial or modern era. And then there is the modern era. And each of those ages comes basically with its own progression. It's not just the technologies and things like that are sort of tied to it. There is a set, like you can pick an advisor and sort of go down a list of like quests and objectives for like a science victory, a culture victory, all the usual stuff that you would have in one of those games. And they will give you a series of objectives you have to meet before the end of that age. Now, you can get through the first 2 ages and not lose if you don't do all the objectives. What you get from those first 2 is you get like, skill tree points, basically, that you can plug into your progression, which will make things easier for you. But at the end, if you want to achieve victory, you really do have to get through one of those tables by the end before the modern era is up, or you lose.
So somebody can trigger the modern or an age by building a wonder or whatever it is, by building something. Is that how it works?
No, the ages are... The one thing I'm not 100% clear on is exactly what determines the end of an age, whether it is a set amount of time or whether it is a certain number of objectives have been met by various civs or what have you. But it seems like there is a sort of baked-in amount of time for those to go.
Oh. Yeah, there's a little percentage counter, right? I played a little bit of this. I did not quite get to the end of the first age, but isn't that what the little like radial percentage in the top left is? Like that's just how much of the current age you've gotten through. But yeah, I also was not clear exactly what was making that advance. Like if it's just number of turns or something else.
If I have I have a couple of criticisms. If I have one off the top of the dome here, it's that the UI is not always super intuitive about certain things.
That's a lot, man. Like,
yeah.
And it's hard for me to tell because I'm just not a big Civ guy. So it's been so long since I played it that when you say like, oh, they've changed the way that ages flow from one to the next and X, Y, and Z, I'm like, oh, really? Like, you could have told me this was the same thing since Civ 1 and I would have believed you. So it's like, A, not having the foreknowledge is a lot, but also B, just when you're new to it, like it's just a giant information dump. Like I don't feel like it necessarily lays things out super clearly for new-ish players.
No, it doesn't. And I will say, even as an experienced player, there were a couple of things that I wish that they had maybe like surfaced in a more obvious way the first time I jumped in. I did end up winning my first game, but it was mostly by virtue of me just kind of panic doing some objectives at the very end, realizing, oh shit, my time is almost up. But I did manage to pull it out. Granted, that was on the default difficulty, which is never very hard, but that's always where I start because I just kind of want to get a feel for what the game is doing. But so the ages are a big thing. And the other thing is that like when you change ages, Your leader doesn't change, but some of the bonuses attached to that leader change, because you basically get access, depending on which things you have focused on from age to age, you get a set number of unlockable dynasties that you can add to your leader's kind of like list of things that are their like bonus things.
A dynasty?
Yeah, so like for instance, I was playing as the Vietnamese leader, and when I got to the next stage, there were like a bunch of different like, you know, hey, this is an economic and expansionist dynasty, and there are bonuses that are attached that are sort of like built toward you doing more of that stuff, or a science and culture one, or things like that. I think I ended up choosing like the Han or the Ming dynasty or something like that, and then going on to another one.
Oh, and are they called? Do you know if they're called dynasties in every Civ?
I don't remember if that's the exact phrasing they use. I mean, again, I've only done one full game.
Okay.
But it was sort of like, you know, do you want to be the Ming? Do you want to be the Han? That kind of thing. And it seems like they are tied loosely to what Civ you pick to begin with, but I think there are some that are just kind of broadly applied over all of them.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And are they like templates or where places to focus in on, or buffs to those?
Yeah, it's buffs, but I mean they are sort of templated in a like it's meant for people who are focusing on these things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's similar, I think, in some ways to what that one game from that Sega Creative Assembly, the Civ like they made. Humankind. Because Humankind's whole thing was that you basically change civs as the eras went along. This is like a less severe version of that, where you are still, you know, whatever civ you picked at the beginning, but you were able to build on top of that.
Okay, so maybe some of the cultural focus or the political economic focus changes.
Yeah. It gives you a pivot point if things aren't working out the way you think they're going to, based on like how the map plays out, you know, kind of where you can get bonuses. Maybe you can make a pivot to something different.
And that's as opposed to, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a bit, but that's opposed to picking the leader and having to double down on the leader's strengths throughout the entire run.
I mean, optimally, yes, you know. And then the other thing is, when you were playing in other Civ games, you really are kind of focused on one victory condition, kind of from the start. You know, you can ultimately end up winning any number of ways, but I think like if you're trying to win, you are trying to focus on one thing or another to win. And here it seems like you have the opportunity, or at least ways, to change what your victory objective is by the end.
It felt like every choice they were asking me to make early on, like they went out of their way to be like, don't worry, you can change this later. Like, doesn't matter which advisor you're picking right now or which one of these tracks, you know, if you're on science or culture or whatever, like, oh, you can always pivot later.
Yeah, I think it's really when you get to the modern era that are like, okay, now you're building toward victory, so you kind of need to figure out what you want to do.
So is it, from what you're saying, it's possible to not get the kudos for winning the two other eras, but then to win in the modern era? You can biff it on two of them and win the last one?
I don't know if you can biff it on two of them. I did biff it on the second one. So when I was playing, I got through all the objectives on the first era, but then I completely petered out on the second one, but I was able to still go. I just didn't get as many, like, you know, bonus points for my skill tree and things like that for the next era.
Okay.
And the other big thing is narrative, which I want to emphasize, this is not like a full-on storytelling mode or anything like that within the context of Civ, but it does give you a little bit of flavor outside of just sort of the usual, like, historical bric-a-brac that they kind of throw in there. So, like, there will be these narrative events that happen throughout the game, and they can be as minor as, like, hey, you know, a thing happened. Do you want the happiness from this, or do you want the gold from this? You know, like, stuff that's, like, pretty minor. But also, there are, like, negative events that can take place over the course of a Civ campaign. Like, for instance, I got plagued at one point. Like, I literally had a plague outbreak within my civilization. I forget if that was because I pissed off some, like, you know, witch somewhere or whatever, but, like,
What?
I don't know. Like, there's apparently narrative options in there for, like, reasoning for why some of these things happen, but, you know...
It's still Civ, though, right? Like,
it's still Civ.
You don't have magic.
No, but like, but people would have believed back in the day that a witch would have given them the plague or something like that. You know, maybe a magician brought the sorcerer's blight or something. You know,
maybe. Yeah.
But here's the thing. So those events are a thing you actually have to deal with in real time. Like, you have a plague that is afflicting your people, and sometimes what they will do is they will offer you what are essentially like emergency, like, stat things that you can do. So, like, you know, you have to maintain some kind of disaster bonus for the rest of this age. They give you an option of like 3 or 4, and it's usually like, you know, hey, to deal with this, this will result in more science coming along, but you will lose gold, or you will lose happiness. Like there's always like a counterbalance thing to it.
How is the diplomacy?
It's pretty fleshed out, I would say, though I would also say the AI maybe feels a little rigid right now in terms of like what it will and won't accept. So everything with diplomacy now is tied to these influence points that you get throughout the game. They are things you can get bonuses for and can build toward. There are also events that give you like extra influence, but you are earning it over time like you would gold, happiness, culture, any of that other stuff. And so what you will do is when you go into a leader versus leader mode, like menu, and you want to do stuff like trade or do like bad things to them or whatever, there's a certain amount of influence points you have to spend to do any of that. And some of them can be countered. So like if I were to denounce, let's just say, fucking, I don't know, Charlemagne. And Charlemagne's like, nah, I got this influence. What he can do is spend his own influence points to deny the denunciation, and effectively, I don't get the thing I spent the influence on.
And are they spent points, or is it like this person's influence is just higher? No,
it's spent points. So
so you have to get more?
You get 3 choices, basically, when one of these things comes up, positive or negative. You can either... If it's a positive thing, you get a third choice, which is you can support it, which means you spend your own thing, and you basically have like an agreement with that person. If you don't want to spend any of your own points, but go along with what they're doing, it doesn't cost you anything, but they get either the bonus or the demerit to you. And if it's a negative thing, you can just straight up spend your own points and say, nah, son, I don't agree with that. And so they lose what they spent, and they don't get the thing they're trying to do.
But you spend the point.
But you spend the points, yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you just build them back up however you do. Okay. Are there, does that influence stuff, is that mostly just in diplomacy? Does that affect borders or sucking other towns into your thrall?
So the one place you can apply that stuff outside of just dealing with civ to civ stuff is with city-states. And that is actually a pretty fundamental shift because there are no longer just like random barbarian camps on the map. Instead, what they have are these little independent civilizations that are effectively city-states, or in the very early goings, they are like barbarian camps in that they are very small, but they are treated as they can evolve into city-states if you leave them there long enough.
Okay, I ran into a couple of those early on. You're talking about like basically one hex full of people milling
and
around.
Like a white color, yeah.
Right, okay.
And so those can be hostile to you or they can be friendly. Even the hostile ones, if you spend enough influence, you can win them over to your side. But if you just don't want to deal with them early on, you can basically treat them like barbarian camps and just run in there and take them out.
And then you just incorporate the settlement into your town?
Or raise it, whatever you want to do, yeah.
Oh, wait, so how's the no builder stuff? How's the development around the towns and stuff?
So the way they've streamlined that is that it's more about expansion than it is like individual worker units. So when you have, let's just say you build your first set, obviously build your first settlement, that's where you start everything. But the first time you build a settler and move somewhere else on the map and build a new place, that starts out as a town. Mm-hmm. And so the town has a limited amount of stuff you can do. It is not like a city in a regular Civ game. You can buy things for it, but you can't use production turn to turn to build things until much later. And so when you get yourself a new town or a new city, over time as it grows and it gets more people, you're given the option to grow the town or grow the city. And the way you do that is basically they just give you, the map screen for that town, that area, and you can either add a new tile that you did not have before. You can add a like a farm or a mine or whatever else to one of those tiles, or you can add a specialist to a special city district that you have.
So, do districts also take up hexes?
Yes. If you build a district, you can build multiple buildings within those districts, but at a certain point, you will have to start building over top of them if you don't build more districts.
And does it still have the thing of like, hey, this is a heavy agriculture tile, this is a mining tile?
Yes.
Okay.
It does have those.
Okay. So then, how do you get your town to get more people if you can't build, I don't know, theaters in it and like?
Well, no, you can, but that's the stuff you're building over time within those districts and things like that.
Are those what are improvements? Is that what those are called? Okay.
And so you grow the same way you would in any other Civ game, which is food, basically helps you build more citizens. Sometimes there will be migrants that come to your civilization. You can plop them down in a city as long as they are capable of taking growth. But the thing is, you can evolve any town eventually into a city using gold.
Oh, just pay your way through it?
Yeah, and when you do that, then you have the ability to add those districts or add stuff to your civilization through production and not just by paying for it.
Okay, interesting. And so it sounds like this is, I mean, I feel like I've seen this in other Civ likes or other games like this. So it's like spoken hub style. You got your central thing, and they're just adjacent tiles. You're just building outward, and you don't have the builder to go out and do that stuff.
Yeah, and the way they do resources, like stuff that is, they don't really do the whole, like, you need oil to get this thing, or you need nuclear material to get this thing. There are resources on the map. There's the luxury resources, and then there is stuff that is like, resources you can put toward other things. But you don't have to use a worker to build mine or anything else around that stuff. You just have to own it and at some point grow into that tile to build whatever you need.
Oh, like expand out into it?
But they've definitely, it feels like the vital resource aspect of Civ feels a lot less vital than it was before. It's not like, if you don't have this gunpowder, you are fucked if you ever want to have gun units.
Right.
It's more like these resources are about building happiness and also building functionality within your city. They are not about blocking you out necessarily from building certain units.
And what do you think of those changes?
I'm mixed right now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm used to a certain way of playing Civ, so I think that's part of it. I don't think it's bad, and I think that most of the turn-to-turn stuff is pretty good because it still has that same game flow overall. Even if I'm not building all the same units as I used to, it still feels like Civ as you go from turn to turn. And I will say the actual turn processing, at least on a not giant map, seems a lot faster than the last couple of games, so that's something.
Do you feel like, and I don't know if this is still relevant in Civ, but do you feel like with some of those changes, the push for outward expansion is lessened a little bit as resources maybe are not as dire? I feel like when I would play Civ, you'd be like you said, oh man, I gotta go get this. I gotta secure some of these resources. They're in a neighboring town.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry guys, you're fucked. I'm gonna go get this. Do you feel like that's changed at all?
I mean, to a certain degree. Again, I've played one full game at this point, so there's stuff I kind of want to play out. I want to try bigger maps and things like that and see what happens. But what I found was that on the one that I played, which was really only like a 6 Civ game, you get a hard limit from era to era, or at least section to section, of how many cities you can have before you start taking a happiness penalty.
Okay. All right.
And that grows over time.
Yeah.
I found that we filled up that map very quickly. Like halfway through the second age, there basically was nowhere for anyone to put new cities.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think there's value in expansion because you want that territory. You want to be able to secure things like trade routes and things like that from place to place. And if you can't move stuff through places, that's difficult. But I also feel like one thing I did run into, at least in this game, is it felt like wars were getting started a lot more willy-nilly than they would in Civ 6, which is to say that anytime one of the other Civs felt like I was lightly threatening them, either with borders or anything else, they would just start shit with me.
Even in the third age?
In every age.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the other thing is, I feel like this game is a lot easier to build military and units than even like Civ 6 was. It feels like with the way they have resources meted out and how you go about building stuff, it was really easy for me to build a comparable army to whatever was coming at me, so I did not have a hard time dealing with those wars.
Is this the one that they added the hero units or commander units?
Yes, there are commanders. They had those, like, there were like generals and admirals in the last game, but they have those here too, where like
they have like special abilities.
Yes, they do, and they have fleshed that out here. So like, if you get a general, let's just say like a ground troop general, that general can command an army of, let's say, between 4 and 6 units generally, and you can meld them all together into one thing if you want to march them all in a direction.
Okay.
And that general also, they have their own skill tree, which you can build out over time. And also they have certain attacks. Like if you want to command all your ranged units to hit one unit or one city or something like that with a +2 attack bonus, use the general and he'll make you do that.
And are they named generals? Like, are they historical generals, or are they just
They were in 6. I actually can't remember. I wasn't really looking at the names, but they might actually still have names.
Okay. That's an interesting concept. I feel like that can like change the tide of some battles.
Totally. One thing they did get rid of is there are no great scientists or great engineers or anything like that I can recall. Or at least I did not see any. You do do things like great works, and obviously the wonders are all still there and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like there was like hey, you get a great scientist, go bring him over to this area, and then you can get like a giant science boost or whatever. It seemed like that stuff was more tied into like the narrative things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you finish your playthrough?
Yeah, I just finished my game today.
What was your victory condition?
Science. It's the one I always go for first because it's the easiest one to figure out, I feel like.
Did you launch the spaceship?
Yes, you do launch the spaceship.
Are you going to Alpha Centauri?
Okay. One of the problems, and again, I need to see how some of the other victory conditions play out before I'd say this is like a hard criticism, but it felt a little anticlimactic when I got to the end of this one. The final condition for the science victory was manned space flight.
That's it?
That's it.
Wait, just get somebody in the space?
Yes. I mean, there are things you have to do before that. You have to launch a satellite. You have to get to rocketry. You have to do the first transcontinental flight before you can get to any of that stuff.
But it's not go colonize another system?
No, and that's fine. I mean, I don't need to go to Mars. No one's ever going to go to Mars, so it's fine. But the thing is, like, it just felt like the buildup did not have, like, quite the drama I was hoping for, because once I kind of got to the last stage of that thing and I started looking at the ticker, the only real drama was, will I get there before the percentage ticker hits 100%?
This is a super dumb question for anybody who actually plays Civ, but are when you're in this phase, when you're in the last stage and you're pursuing your wonder or whatever your kind of selected victory is, are you only in a race with yourself, or are the other cultures around you also pursuing a similar type of victory? Or is it just I'm either going to get this done or I'm not, or is there also the element of they might get one done before me?
Yeah, it's really about what it doesn't matter if they're going for the same objective as you or another. If they get to their objective before you do, then you have lost. Okay,
so they are pursuing quote unquote victories the way that you are.
Yes, and they are potentially aware of the fact that you are within range of getting your victory as well. So, like, I had an alliance basically just end because I started getting really close to the end of the science victory, and then that dude just got super mad at me, like, very quickly, because he could clearly tell I was going to win.
Did they surface that?
Yes, there's a big frowny face that goes over them when they are mad at you.
No, like how the progress they are to launching a shuttle, or the progress they are to... I mean, obviously you could see if they're on a military march.
I think you might need to use espionage to get to some of that stuff, or maybe that's not how espionage works anymore. I barely used espionage in my first game. It seems pretty different from 6, so I hadn't really messed with it too much yet.
What's the economic victory?
I don't know. I haven't tried that one yet.
Oh, okay. Well, do you know what it's been generally? Is it like get a certain amount of money, or is it have trade agreements with everybody?
I don't remember off the top. I almost never did economic. I did a lot of like diplomatic and culture victories, and the occasional like just domination victory when I felt like just nuking the entire map.
Maybe there isn't an economic victory. I don't know.
Yeah, I forget. I feel like there is, because economic is one of the trees that you can build stuff for.
Okay. Expand exterminates.
Yeah.
X space and
X-Men.
X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's so. Here's what I'll say, again, having only played one full game. If you were worried at all about this feeling a little bit thin because it is a new Civ game and does not have years of expansions and other content coming into it, I mean, you should know by now that's just how this stuff works. I think there are some things in the end game that feel a little like not all the way there, at least in terms of like adding the drama to kind of getting to the victory condition stuff. I think I'm okay with most of the main mechanical changes they've made. It is a little buggy. It is not all the way there in terms of like polish. Some of it is UI based. I did have one soft lock where the game basically just would not finish a turn. And until I restarted the app, it just would not even like let me load the autosave from that.
Oh boy.
But once I got back in, it was fine. I had to reload the game.
You're playing on PC?
I mean, I think that's right now. I don't know if that's the only way to play, but it was the only way to play early access.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think the post-launch roadmap is for this? I mean, because, like, I feel like I at least remember this narrative around 6, if not also 5, of, like, at launch, people are, granted, Civ players probably fairly demanding, but, like, people are not super happy at launch, and then you check back 3 years later and everybody's like, oh, it's the best Civ now.
Yeah.
Like will that all be free? Like,
no.
Or were you gonna have to actually pay for actual
They're expansions.
Okay.
So sometimes, if I remember correctly, some of the civs they released were either very cheap or free. Like there are some DLC packs you can get of like multiple leaders and new civs and things like that. That will probably be charged for. But the expansions have always been paid. Like what was it, the Rising Tide, the climate change one for 6? Like that was a paid expansion.
Okay, because just like looking at the Steam reviews for this right now, like some of the problems people have are just things like how information is being surfaced or not being surfaced right now.
Right.
Just basic usability stuff like that. And I was just wondering if there's hope for them to massage stuff like that.
I think there is.
Prior to any paid stuff.
So they've already patched it a couple of times, and I think they will probably end up doing a lot of that UI stuff within the context of patches. At least that's what the first like developer update I read said was like they have been reading the feedback, hopefully not all of it. Some of those user reviews are just like real up their own ass as far as like what they expect from a Civ game at launch. Some of them are very genuine though, in that like there are bugs, there are UI problems, and I think those UI problems are genuine. I think they will address that stuff through free updates, and then the bigger gameplay spanning things will be in the expansions and Civ updates.
Got a long tail on Civ. I mean, hopefully they have the time to iron it out, and it's not a modern video game where we're shutting this down in 6 months.
No, I don't think they will with Civ, especially because it's not a live service game. But, Civ 6 had a very long tail. I think by the time they got to the second expansion, that game got really great.
Man, 2016 is when 6 came out.
And the expansions, I feel like, were every couple of years after that until they kind of stopped doing stuff.
Is there multiplayer in this?
Yeah, it has
launch?
Multiplayer. I never play Civ multiplayer because I don't have that kind of time, but it is there.
Okay. So
needs a play by email mode.
Exactly. Yeah. I only play through the newspaper.
Play by post.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just gonna keep at it. You're not turned off. You're just gonna keep plugging away. Yeah.
No, again, I think it has some problems at launch, but I don't think any of those problems seem insurmountable. And I think there is a really interesting core game there. It just needs some tweaking. That's it. And some new content eventually.
Sure. And you got to feel out those civs.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played one yet. I've only tried Vietnam. There's still so many civs to try from. I need to play as Harriet Tubman.
Yeah. Yes, I was kind of impressed at the broader range of historical figures than I expected being represented there.
Yeah, that was kind of one of their big focuses was they wanted to try and redefine what the notion of a leader within a country is. It doesn't just have to be a president.
Right, like that's the classic stereotype about Civ, right? It's like George Washington and Gandhi, basically, and Napoleon, which, to be fair, Napoleon is still in this game.
Yeah, Napoleon's still in there. There's still plenty of like kings and presidents and other people like that, but there are lots of leaders that don't exist within the framework of like what we understand to be a governmental system.
Down with the government.
Absolutely.
Up with the Civ. How is the what is her name? Brienne of Tarth.
She's good.
Yeah,
she's the narrator. Yeah.
Gwendolyn
Christie.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does she announce when a new age pops? And
she gives you the narration. There's some very fun quotes in there for her to read. I mean, to give you an idea of where they're at, there's a fucking Slavoj Zizek quote in there for the modern era. Like, and the music is really good. I gotta say, like, I always like the music in these games, but like out of the gate, there's some real good, like, how do I describe this? I mean, the one that really hit me was basically the intro song from Hunt for Red October, that Russian, I don't know if that's the Russian national anthem or what, but like their rendition of it is very rousing, I will say.
Okay.
I kind of like the intro. The
intro's good.
It's like that one sword across multiple eras thing.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the Civ intros. They're usually pretty fun. Civ 5, that's your jam?
I mean, it's kind of the Mario Kart Alpha theory thing where whatever your first big Civ is tends to kind of be the one you latch onto most. But I did play a lot of 6, to be fair.
Okay.
I mean, like, I clicked on the 5 store page in the course of this discussion just to check release date and stuff, and there's like people posting in the community content right now about Civ 7 on Civ 5. They're kind of like, who needs Civ 7 when you have Vox Populi?
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely still people playing 5.
4? Hell of a Civ game.
Yeah.
4 on Steam.
Yeah, it is. I think they all are.
Wait, really? Civ 1 is on, and 2 are on Steam?
They might be on GOG, maybe not on Steam, but I think they are. You can still buy those games places.
I still have my Civ 2 manual somewhere by the big book of just hey, what do you need to play a Civ game? A lot of time.
The Civ game I've spent the least amount of time in is Civilization Beyond Earth, and I still have almost 100 hours in that game.
Jeez. All right. Looks like 3 is probably the oldest one on Steam.
Okay. How about that? What was it, Civ Go, the console one?
Civilization Revolution, is that the one?
Yeah, Revolution.
Yeah, that was all right.
I don't know if that's here.
I don't think you can buy that one anywhere right now.
How about Alpha Centauri, where you can build the vehicles and stuff?
Oh, I've never played Alpha Centauri.
Okay, there you go. Time.
That's something to try out.
Is that on Steam? I feel like that thing probably barely runs anymore.
I would think so. Yeah.
Old Sid Meier, still at it.
Yep.
He will never stop.
See a cameo in there?
As long as they keep putting his name on the box, he will not retire.
Timeless. All right. Civ 7 out now, $70 out now for the rest of the folks out there that want to play. I believe it is available across pretty much everything, though. It's what's listed here on the releases from the Internet Games Database. So I would like to see that thing run on a Switch and see how that goes. Compute those turns for me. Again, that is out now. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about a few other games, so stick around.
This week's show is brought to you by Factor. Brad, Vinny, are you ready to optimize your nutrition for the year calendar 2025?
Heck yeah, but only, Alex Navarro, if it's convenient and doesn't require too much work from me.
Oh my God, I have a deal for you, my friend. Factor, in fact, arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Just like us, active, busy people. That is how I would describe us.
I was going to ask, do our lifestyles qualify as active and busy?
They do for the sake of this ad.
Busy, yes. Active, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd move sometimes.
I do have a lifestyle.
Yeah, and that lifestyle can still fit within the framework of Factor. Now, we've gotten Factor before. Brad, you got Factor fairly recently. What did you get, bud?
There was some pork chop in there.
Ooh.
Some spicy sweet potatoes.
Very nice.
And I believe a vegetarian tamale bowl of sorts.
Ooh, I think I've gotten some version of that before. I remember really liking it. It's delicious food. It is already cooked. All you have to do is heat it up. It is pretty easy to get together. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each and every week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. You can choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Nextlander50off and use the code Nextlander50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Nextlander50 off at factormeals.com/Nextlander50off to get 50% plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/Nextlander50 off and use code Nextlander50 off. Thanks, Factor.
All right, we are back. And like I mentioned before, the thing that keeps me up at night, thing that kept me up was I was digging a hole.
Yep.
Brad,
nice.
You dug a hole?
Nice, relaxing way to spend a few hours before bed.
Yeah.
I did. A game about digging a hole has got to be the easiest game to describe in history because I just did.
My kids, when they came home, or they came in and asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm digging a hole."
Mm-hmm.
What game are you playing? Game about digging a hole. And what are you doing it? You dig a hole.
Yep.
How's your hole?
That's about it. That game's pretty good. It's $5. I think we should say up front, it's $5.
It's $5.
I really enjoyed it. I finished it in like 2 sessions.
Yeah.
So,
Did you get that second key?
Second key?
Did you get a key?
No. Okay, maybe there's more. Okay, well, I was just about to say I wish there was more to that game, but maybe there is more to that game that I didn't see.
I mean, I don't know how much more. I found one key for the chest that's in your shed. There's like a little chest on the ground that has 2 locks on it, and I found a key, and I spent too much time just clearing out a lot of dirt.
After I beat the game, I already wiped my save, unfortunately, because did you finish it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Did you start a new game? You can't. It unlocks a new mode after you finish the game.
You get achievements in it.
Yeah, you have to wipe your old progress to start the new mode, unfortunately. So now I can't get back in there with all the upgrades. But
yeah,
like the total footprint of the plot is pretty small. You know, like it's a very deep shaft that you're digging a hole into.
And I think they funnel you down as you get lower and lower. It seems like the walls.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
Because when you got to the bottom, where you're like, man, the chances of me finding this entrance.
Yeah, the size of the opening you need to dig into at the bottom is quite small, but even at the top, it's the whole plot you can dig into is pretty bounded.
Yeah.
So there was a point where I was like, maybe I should just dig literally all of this dirt out.
Yeah.
That would take a while, though. Anyway, what I was going to say is it's $5, and I think it's totally worth $5.
Yeah.
I wish it cost more so that there was more, because I really liked playing it.
I did too. I've got a couple of nitpicks with it, but I actually did really like it. I don't know, Brad, you had mentioned this off air, I think when we talked about what we're playing. You played with a mouse and keyboard?
Yeah.
On a controller, you can just hold the dig button
to
down.
dig?
Yeah.
God damn it.
You do not have to click, because you had said you had to keep clicking, right?
Yeah, so the shovel. I'll step back really quick and say this is a first-person game about digging a hole in a backyard of a suburban house.
As one does.
The loop is basically SteamWorld Dig. It's literally like dig down, mine some ore, go sell the ore, and get better digging tools to dig deeper and get better ore that sells for more money. Like it's
the suburban dream.
By way of a clicker, kind of like cookie clicker.
Kind of. And the UI also is like very bare bones. It feels a little bit like some of this might have come out of an Unreal Engine template. I don't mean to be unkind. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But like within that, it's really satisfying. I think it is a bit janky in spots. Yes. But anyway, to your point about the shovel, unless I missed something on PC, I could not hold the mouse button down to just keep digging. I had to click like crazy to every shovel, every dig was a click. It was a lot of clicking until I got the drill.
So with the on the controller, I played it on the PC, but with the controller, you just hold down like the right trigger or whatever it is, and you just have to like walk forward. But you do start off with a very small radius, which makes all your digging just look pockmarked, when you start. And by the end, you can get it done, but like I almost wanted more. I wanted to be hauling more dirt, because I would say, I don't know where you were, but you can max out those tech trees fairly quickly.
Yeah, like halfway through the game, I think I had all the upgrades.
And then you're just kind of just blowing money on you can buy dynamite if you want, because there are things you can't dig through, or you can buy lanterns, which are useful for not getting lost in your weird cavernous back hole.
Mm-hmm.
You have a jetpack, which allows you to rocket. I don't know if you did the same thing I did, but by the end, the jetpack is so ridiculous. You just dig straight down.
I started to do that, but I was so close to the end of the game that I was just like, I'm just going to finish this.
Wait, like a fucking Yosemite Sam cartoon where the jetpack basically just digs you a hole to China?
No. Okay. But you can dig straight down and then jetpack your way out of your escape hatch.
Gotcha.
Because the way they meter it, which is very annoying in the beginning, is the shovel you have is like some weird pneumatic battery-powered shovel.
Mm-hmm.
And the battery power runs out constantly, and your inventory fills up constantly. So you have to get out of the hole, go recharge the battery, dump off your ores, sell them. That's the loop, right? Get money to buy a bigger inventory, buy a bigger battery, which then costs more money to recharge, and then buy a bigger shovel and all that. But it's fun. Like as you dig down, there's just enough hint of a mystery going on to like keep you digging, and it's interesting payoff. I'm with you, Brad. You kind of get through it and you're like, you're not completely. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not like totally satisfied.
Yes, I was on the verge of disappointed. I'd like, do they really make good on the mystery? Not really.
It's like enough,
Yeah, it's again for $5, totally fine.
Yeah,
but
do they stick the landing? No. Do they
entirely
land on the mats? Okay.
But I don't know if I should be ashamed to admit this though, but like a $30 version of this game that had like, say, a SteamWorld Dig level of depth to it, would be like on my Game of the Year list probably. Because like, there's something very satisfying about the loop and getting the upgrades, and also like just making the choices of where to dig. You know, it's like it's just a hole, but it's my hole. You know.
Yes, there are many others like it, but this one is mine.
I decided exactly the course of this thing, and like it's kind of personalized to me because like there's some amount of ingenuity involved in getting your way down there, right? Especially when the hazards start popping up.
Digging has been proven to be a fundamentally engaging video game mechanic. That's it. That's it. Yep. And you can expand on that. Just give people a way to dig into the earth, make their own little subterranean empire. Yeah. And go to work. I think this is a very bare bones look at what could be, I'm with you, Brad, like a bigger game. It doesn't need to be a Terraria. It doesn't need to be like a Minecraft, but there is just something about digging on a loop that gets you bigger shovels, better shovels, faster shovels, is cool. But it does have its annoyances. It is a little glitchy here and there.
Yeah, like navigating, it's really easy to kind of feel stuck. I don't know if you ran into this. Like you
got little floating pieces of dirt.
Yes, they're like tiny little bits of dirt that are in the way that you could barely even see, but they're preventing you from moving. Or like sometimes you can just dig your way into a hole where you kind of can't move until you.
Yeah, but it's not very punishing. Like even when you can die in the game, you just lose your ores basically.
Did you ever run out of battery? That's the one punitive thing about the game.
I never ran out of battery.
I almost made it to the end of the game without running out of battery, and then I had like a sack full of platinum and diamonds toward the end, which are the best resources in the game. If you run out of battery, you die, quote unquote, start back at the house, and like all that ore is just gone.
Oh, okay. So
forever.
It's similar thing if you just die, like if you just
I'm sure
run out of health.
Yeah, I assumed it was the same punishment, but you know, they say at the top when you get like the manual for your shovel, it's like this thing explodes when it runs out of battery.
So did you never die aside from that?
No, I never died due to lack of health. I just ran out of battery once. And that's the thing I was going to say is that
even at the end?
Yeah, no, I just.
Oh, good for you. All right.
Well, I shouldn't say what you do at the end.
That took me like a bunch of tries to get through the end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's I started to say what I did, but again, I'm kind of just giving away the secret, which is not a huge secret, but
no, but it's it's worth digging to the hole.
Yeah, but
find your own way to the solution to the hole.
It does alert you when your battery's getting low and then critical, but it's very much possible to push it too long and keep digging because you're like, I just need 3 more to fill my backpack before I go, and then B, get yourself into a position where you really need the jetpack to get out,
which takes battery.
Which also takes battery. So that's what happened to me was that I was trying to jetpack my way out of a deep hole.
Yeah,
and just overshot what I had left on the battery, and then all of a sudden I lost a couple $1,000.
By the time I was like even worried about death, money, I had nothing to spend money on.
It doesn't really matter at that point. I think I had all the upgrades.
Yeah, it's really not that much to spend money on once you're cooking. The beginning is very slow, and then I think there's like an exponential curve. Like at some point you're making a lot of money pretty quickly. Where like in the beginning, things that cost $30-$60 might take you a while. Things that cost $1,500 later on, you can get that in a haul if you've got enough in there. Yeah. But fun game.
You're still here talking this long about a game where you mostly just dig a hole in your backyard, and I think that says something.
There's something extremely satisfying about it.
The setup for the game is also you buy this property that advertises that there is treasure buried in the ground. That's the setup.
Yeah, it's the intro again. Again, I don't want to assume too much about how they made this game, but the intro very much also feels like maybe there were some like pre-made assets or templates involved.
I think I saw an Epic Games published by in the beginning of that game. So I don't know if it's picked up by them or what. But I did see that I saw their logo on there.
It's apparently doing quite well.
Like I said, fun
it's a $5 game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. I'd swear it was the developer. Maybe it was on the news page on the store for the game. Like it launched into like the top 30 on Steam or something.
Dang,
like pretty substantial.
Single player games are back.
Are they ever?
Like I said, I would love a bigger version of this.
I can't even. I just looked it up on Steam. I don't know why the Epic logo is in front of it, but Steam, Rockaplay Boutique and Drill Hounds are the publishers on it.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know what a publisher is anymore.
I don't know what a publisher is either. Maybe there was some development money that went in. I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it, but fun, not too like memey, which is good. You know,
oh yeah, that can be unbearable.
Yeah,
yes, it's at least
pretty straight,
fairly tasteful in that regard. Okay, this is the same developer making Solarpunk, which you see like an ad for that in the game, like in the garage. There's a little magazine that says Solarpunk on it. It's like it's a full on crafting game that looks quite a bit like this.
Okay,
like if you look at footage of Solarpunk, it looks just like this game.
Do you think this was made as like a hey, we did the tech?
Yeah, yes, I would bet a significant amount of money that Solarpunk has similar digging mechanics to this.
Okay. Like you could just make a whole game based around this?
Yes.
Which is not untrue.
Which is just like, hey, we've got digging tech here. Why don't we just spin a little thing out?
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed my time with it. It took me probably like 4 or 5 hours. I mean,
that sounds about right.
Some of me really hunting for, there are things that are buried in there. You get a little radar. Yeah. And one of those things was a key.
Okay, that was
only by luck did I find a key, and then spent a lot of time trying to find the other key.
Interesting. Yeah, I had 2 different doohickeys come up that were kind of rangefinders for stuff. There's one that looks kind of like a satellite dish, and another one that's just like an up down, like pad. So one of those does point to the keys then, because I never.
The radar dish points to the key. Weird. Did you find what the other thing points to?
Little mine shaft things.
Yeah.
I found 2 of those, and I found some like crates down there, but no keys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the key was one of the radar dishy things.
Interesting.
Which, they will lead you to other things like a suitcase full of money or something like that.
I don't know if I have it in me to play through the whole game again, but now I really want to know what's in that garage chest. Like the one thing it's lacking, because like you said, you end up with such a surplus of money, is like they kind of really should just give you like an infinite battery at some point.
So that's what I was wondering. I didn't look it up, but I do wonder what's in there, if there's some kind of game breaking thing in there.
Yeah. They should do that.
The range on that little finder is very narrow. Like it's not like you just get in the hole and suddenly you just dig towards this thing. You have to already be fairly close to it. And so there's just enough space there, and it's just slow enough on the dig where you're going to spend a lot of time digging holes. And I did. I started doing the thing where at the end of the game, I just dug straight down in like all the cardinal coordinates, and then all like between those, and then all between those. I still couldn't find it. So I don't know. Maybe it's towards the end of the game, which I don't feel like actually going back and exploring too much.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll look it up and just see. I did not start the new game plus, or new game, I guess it really is. If you don't keep anything.
No, it will ring up any achievements you got in your first playthrough though. When you start the achievement run.
I just don't want to do that first grind again.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I will say, I don't know if it was a bug or what that was forcing me to click to dig constantly like that. That made the drill that much more satisfying, though.
Oh, I bet.
When I finally got the drill and could just hold the button down to drill, it was like night and day.
That's so weird. Yeah, I should try it on the PC and see if it makes you click. That's a lot of clicks.
It genuinely, I have a pretty nice mouse. It genuinely made me think at some point, like, how much of the lifespan of the switches of this mouse am I burning on this game right now?
Yeah. I hope it does well. $5. It's a short little game about digging.
Yep.
That's called A Game About Digging a Hole. It's on the PC, out now, $5. For some reason, I think it's because it was on Game Pass and I was looking for co-op stuff with my kids. I played a lot of PowerWash Simulator.
Okay.
Which has a co-op mode in it, though it kind of stinks, unfortunately. For the career part of it, like the other person doesn't get a lot of progress in their career. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where if you're joining if I join your career, Brad, I basically am just there to help out and be a mockery of what I would normally be, just like a ghost person who's helping out. But then when I go back to mine, I don't have upgrades. I don't have the same career progress, any of that stuff, which I never like in a co-op career. But my kids really dig it, and I think I do too. You know, that like, hey, we're just going to spend some time cleaning up stuff in PowerWash Simulator. So,
I mean, honestly, the whole game kind of fits into the same category, right? They're both sort of menial task simulators.
Totally. Where my wife is like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know.
Menial tasks?
But there are bonus, so you can only do 2 people in the co-op career, but there are bonus tasks which you can have more than 2 people in, and so we did a bunch of those. which I don't know, man. Just kind of hanging out and power wash and stuff, which definitely, am I trying to get my kids to get on board with me getting a power washer? Maybe a little bit. Maybe,
Sure.
They really seemed interested in it.
Somebody down the street from us last month or 2 months ago now power washed Merry Christmas into the sidewalk. Or at least I assume it was some kind of power washer because the sidewalk is quite dirty. They just they carved the words Merry Christmas out of clean.
Okay.
Like
was it like nicely written?
Yeah, it was good enough.
Okay.
In front of their house on the sidewalk.
Wow. That's
I assume it had to be some kind of pressure washer, I think, to blast off the foul whatever on that sidewalk.
Are we going to keep going with it? I don't know. There's $40K DLC for that thing. Are they different people than the visceral cleanup game?
Probably. I sure don't know for sure.
Okay. It's like of a kind. And I know that thing had other game tie-in DLC. Power Wash Simulator, if you told me it was one of those games that just made millions and millions of dollars, I'd believe it.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Yeah, like one of those. Yeah, people just streamed and played it. So that's what I spent a lot of my weekend playing with the kids. Wish that game. There's just not a lot of couch co-op stuff, or at least on Game Pass that we could find. And this was on Game Pass, so we didn't have to spend a lot of money. Though they still do the nice thing where on Game Pass you can have a game there, and other people can play it on different consoles, so that we don't have to buy it 3 times. All right, moving on. Crypt. Necro.
Rift.
Whatever Necro you got.
Start with Rift so I can justify my madness.
Well, I will just say I've played a little bit more of Rift of the NecroDancer. I'm still enjoying it. I don't have too much more to report on it other than, yes, that game does get very hard when you start turning up the difficulty levels. I think it is very manageable on regular, though, on medium. I think even as you kind of get deeper into that campaign, I've not had a ton of trouble. But as soon as you turn it up to hard, it's just like, hey, check it out. Fuck you.
And it's just the amount of stuff that's coming down the lanes.
It's the amount of stuff that's coming down the lanes. It's how often I think you see certain types of enemies, like some of the more challenging ones, things like that. It's a much more hectic version of it.
Okay, normal though. Manageable.
Yeah, normal is completely approachable. It has a very normal difficulty ramp. I would say even as you get deeper into it, it's still pretty manageable if you played any rhythm game before. So.
Do the songs change for every encounter, or are they recycling? Is there a catalog of songs that it rotates through?
There is a catalog of songs. I mean, it's Danny B, and it's a mixture of other composers that are friends of Danny B. So I assume that, that stuff, some of it is probably taken from other NecroDancer stuff. I don't remember every song from the soundtracks of those games, or their remixes. Repeats? I haven't seen one yet.
Okay. Interesting.
Not yet.
Interesting. Brad, that led you to go Crypt?
I've played way too much Crypt of the NecroDancer since last week. Way too much.
What is too much? Because if it's a good game, is it really too much?
Well, it is, but I'm trying to beat the all zones mode, which is fucking impossible. It is so hard, man. All zones is just as it's exactly what it sounds. It's all 4 zones in one run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Except you start with half the health. They unlock every item, but you start with half health. I don't think I've even made it to the boss of Zone 1 yet, after years off and on of bouncing off of that thing. I love that game, but I fucking hate that game sometimes.
It's pretty mean.
It is It is since you said it, I'll agree with you. It is kind of punishing and a little mean in a way that makes me think I might never actually beat that.
Yeah, the part where I kept bouncing off was I don't know. At some point, I would just be banging my head against the wall on some parts of it and put it down. It's like a game I respected more than I could complete,
Yeah, it's a game I love conceptually, and I do enjoy playing, but there is always a hard wall I run into with it.
That's exactly where I'm at with it. I just don't know when enough is enough and keep going until I'm throwing the controller practically, because I'm also trying to beat Zone 4, which I don't think I've ever actually beaten before, just by itself. And even there, you get into situations where it just, beat by beat, things are happening faster than at least my brain can process them. I mean, sure, I'm sure some people are just fine with it, but it's like there are enemies that are straight up teleporting you into different rooms, and it's before you even know that you are in a different room than you were just in, you've got 3 things happening, and now you're boxed in, and now you're dead. It's man, this was my best run ever in terms of the items I had found. Now it's just over. Oh.
Yeah. Hell of a game.
Yeah, maybe I'll fire that up on the stream on Friday a little bit.
I'd like to listen to a little more Shopkeeper.
I killed the Shopkeeper for the first time. I had never gotten the trophy for it, so apparently I hadn't done it. That's another thing I wish the game was better about telling you what the items do that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously you can learn all that stuff yourself, but when I haven't played it in a couple of years, I've forgotten a lot of stuff. So like, I got the Shopkeeper's crown or hat or whatever. I don't know what it did.
Congratulations, you're a murderer.
Like I didn't have time to figure out what it did, and then I was dead.
Killed the best character in the game.
Yeah.
How
didn't even make it to the next level to find out if the Shopkeeper comes back or if he just goes Spelunky style militant on your ass from there on out. I assume that's what it does, but maybe we'll explore again.
Never hear those tones again. Crypt of the NecroDancer, hot on the heels of Rift of the NecroDancer.
Both great games in their own way.
Yeah, different games.
Also still, different, but also very mean in various ways.
That is going to do it. Are you guys excited to try some Avowed next week?
Yeah.
I've seen people getting pretty hyped up.
Excited.
Preview coverage was like kind of mixed a few months ago, but
okay.
I think it looks cool. One review leaked this morning and then came back down.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I think was a 9.5 out of 10, but I mean, that could mean anything.
Yeah,
okay.
And who knows where it came from. But I will say, I think excited is not the word I would use. Intrigued is the word I would use.
Definitely interested.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting caught up in other people's getting excited for it, so I'll have to check that one out. That's next week. Also, I should probably mention, I mentioned looking for couch co-op stuff. I think on Steam it's like couch co-op week or fest or festival.
They are literally having like an event right now.
But when I look through those things, I'm never quite sure what their definition of couch co-op really means, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, trying to find stuff to play with the kids can sometimes be like, do I want to go play Madden with the kids on couch co-op? I don't know.
Yeah, I looked through their lists because I saw that event pop up and I was like, oh, that'd probably be some good stuff to stream at some point. It's a lot of older games. Like there's not a lot of new stuff on there. Not in the way that Next Fest is just full of new games. Like it's quite a bit of stuff from like anywhere from like 4 to 8 years ago.
Yeah. I think like Binding of Isaac is on there.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
American Truck Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley. Perhaps you've heard of it.
I have.
Great game.
Mortal Kombat 1 is on here.
There you go.
Never heard of it.
You could play that game on a couch.
You definitely could fight somebody in Mortal Kombat 1. We've done Stardew Valley together co-op with the kids. It's fun, but I think the kids get bored of it in a way that I don't, which is a bummer.
They have no future in farming.
No. Oh, maybe we should play Helldivers. That's what we should go get. Can you do 4-player local
co-op?
It is the anniversary.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing anything or not.
What is the actual anniversary date?
I think it's this week.
It's in February. I know that. I don't remember exactly what day.
Huh. Interesting. Weird. Okay.
The 8th. Oh, we passed it.
Oh, we passed it. Okay. So maybe not on the day at least.
Oh, I should have logged in. You probably get a cape or something. Bummer.
No, you just get killed faster. That's because that's the way of the Empire.
In my cool cape. All right, that's going to do it for the games. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back with the news. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and it is time for the news. And let's start off with this Sony kerfluffle. The Sony, I was going to say Sony block.
It's a ballyhoo.
But the
model.
I guess the news is we don't really know what happened over here. But Brad, what is the news with the Sony outage from this weekend?
Yeah, that really is the problem, right? Sony's the PlayStation Network was down from Friday afternoon until kind of Saturday evening, about 24 hours ish.
Did you guys notice?
Yes,
I did.
I never got on there because I saw enough people complaining about it that I didn't even bother turning the console on.
Okay.
Because I knew there was not really any point. I wish in retrospect I had, just to absolutely confirm whether I could launch games or not.
Mm-hmm.
I believe anybody, you know, there's the concept of the home console or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get the one console that it's like, hey, this is your main console. You can still launch games on here even without a network connection. So I think anybody that had that enabled should have been fine to launch games.
Okay.
But I do wish I had confirmed that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I mean, I did have some games that have online hooks. When I would get into them, they'd just be like, hey, all this shit doesn't work.
Yes. So that absolutely would not work.
Yeah.
So yeah, like PlayStation Network was just down for about 24 hours, laser targeted to really ruin some people's weekends who just wanted to chill out and play Fortnite on Friday night.
Yeah.
As of at the time of this recording, Wednesday morning, we still don't know exactly why. Pretty much the entirety of the statement they have put out about it is this: Network Services has fully recovered from an operational issue. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank the community for their patience. All PlayStation Plus members will automatically receive an additional 5 days of service. So that's all they've said about it so far. And would people be wringing their hands quite as much about this if it had not been for the historic outage in 2011, the gigantic data breach?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, they probably
was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was 2011. I had to look up. It's been so long. I mean, we were in the Front Street office. I had to look up some facts. I went through some fast facts about the 2011 outage right before this and forgot how bad it was. It was, I think, 77 million accounts. Yes. 77 million accounts had data compromised in that breach. And it was down for 23 days.
Wait, it was down for 23 days?
23 days? Like
oh, wow.
The better part of a month, PlayStation Network was down.
I don't
To be
remember
fair,
it being that long.
In 2011, the PlayStation Network's vitality was not the thing that it is now. Like, obviously, there were games you could not play online, but it wasn't it has its hooks in everything in your consoles type stuff.
Very much. Like, that was still PlayStation 3 era, you know, when most games were still digital. Most games were still physical. Like, downloadable games were becoming a thing, but it absolutely did not just render your console useless for a lot of people.
Right.
When the network was down, you just couldn't play Mortal Kombat online or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was like a pretty harsh reminder of how absolutely tied into network services like everything on a modern console is. It seems kind of rough that they have not gotten out there with a little more information than this.
I believe it is equally possible that on the flip side of it being something nefarious like a data breach or some like bigger thing they don't want to talk about, they are being brusque because they don't think it's a big deal, because maybe some of the people that were there for that breach are not there anymore and they don't make that connection. Like, it could literally have been an operational issue and they just don't think it's worth talking about.
Yeah, they need to come out and say that, though. I think a lot of people, myself included, would really feel reassured just to know a little more about what happened, or at least like, hey, let's just make it extremely clear everybody's fine here.
Or that you're still investigating, right? Like,
sure.
Because it is possible there's still like, hey, there was a hardware failure in a server. Let's just make sure nobody got in. Let's make sure there wasn't a data breach before we say anything. We're still investigating the events of whatever. While we investigate, we're going to give people 5 days. We will update you when we have more information. As of right now, we think it's an operational issue or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, these are complicated systems. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like, they might not know. Maybe there's a super embarrassing thing that happened. Maybe they pushed bad code. Maybe,
that's like the idea that it could have just been a screw up on their part that took the entire service down for an entire day.
Could be.
Like even that is a pretty bad look, even if it's something as innocuous as that.
But I think you just got to reassure people that, you know, like, we've tracked this down, or say we're investigating, and then you could say, spin it and say we tracked this down to an internal issue with our servers. It's been resolved. There is, as of right now, we have no reason to think this is a data breach or anything like that. Right?
Yes. Like, they need to say that. They need to say, hey, everybody's data's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing was compromised here. Like, the only plausible speculation I've seen is that it could have been a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service, you know, the type of thing that still happens occasionally when people with the means just decide to target a commercial service and destroy it temporarily.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something you don't say because you don't want to encourage more of it?
I don't know. That was my thought, was like, A, you don't want to encourage more. B, you don't necessarily want to make yourself look like you weren't able to handle it. Because this was in the course of me reading about this, I was reminded that Microsoft fended off a DDoS in like December or November.
It was late in the year, yeah.
Like, they came out a couple, 3 months ago and said, hey, we have weathered a DDoS attack that did not take the service down, but just so you know, like, this is happening.
A little bit of a flex, maybe.
So, or just, I mean, but on, I guess the positive way to spend that is like, hey, this is, we're trying to increase like confidence of our customers in the reliability of our service. And so it could have been something like that, which, also maybe they're reluctant to talk about it when their competitor was able to handle it and they were not. That's pure speculation, though.
Yeah, and maybe they don't want to say anything with the word attack in it, right? Because of that fresh memory. I don't know, but either way, their communication's terrible, and they should at least get a better spin on it and say we'll have more information when we know.
Yeah, I agree completely with the sentiment that it should be more vocalized. I think there is an equal likelihood within the company they just don't think of it that way.
Yeah, that's a problem, though. Yeah, either just one sentence. Either say, hey, nobody's information was compromised, or if they cannot confidently say that, like you said, just say, hey, we are continuing to investigate and we'll have more.
Yeah.
But it was just such a total disruption of service. There were a lot of very unhappy people on my social media feed. And I know somebody last week who ordered a PS5 Pro last week and it was delivered Saturday morning.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's got to be frustrating on a lot of levels.
They were not very happy about having to just sit there and stare at it, unable to do literally anything with it, because you can't even get through the initial setup and sign into your account on a new console.
But I wonder if there's an immediate, is it my console broken? Like, what is going on before you find out that there's an outage?
I don't even know what the console would do if it couldn't contact PSN. And granted, in that case, it ended up being, from Saturday morning to when it came back online was like 6 or 8 hours. Like, not a huge deal in retrospect, but again, with the memory of the 2011 breach, which was 23 days, like with that memory in mind, while we were still in the middle of it and no communication from them at all, it was just like, is this another one of those, or is this going to be a week or two? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, nobody's in the mood for sorry, just deal with it.
I guess. Or nobody's in the mood for essential service. I mean, okay, let's be clear, I guess.
We are still talking about an expensive toy here.
PlayStation Network, not essential, but it is something that is up all the time. Like, it's just something that people consider to be resilient enough to just be available at all times. And so however frivolous video games are in the end result, still seeing yet another thing go down right now, not great.
Not great.
Also, I think you started off with another reminder that this thing all hinges on the agreement that the service is going to be up, right? This whole contract we have with digital games, just a reminder, it could turn off. Sony, get out there and
tell us what's up,
man.
Yeah, in fact, so they have, at the time of this recording, they have announced a state of play for this afternoon. We had to record this podcast before that state of play happens. I am actually curious if they address this at all during that thing.
I'm going to say no.
I would lean toward no. It sure would be nice if they did, but
those things are not even live or anything. Aren't they just reels?
They're basically just like trailer packages stitched together. I mean, they could have a talking head walk out at the beginning and say something.
Oh man, who?
Maybe Herman Holst, maybe.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
I mean, that's not his purview, though. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's network operations are not his deal, but he has been a pretty vocal spokesperson for the company.
I'm going to say no. Is there anything? So, like you said, they did announce this state of play that is happening later today.
Yeah.
Which is at 5 p.m. Eastern is when at the time of this. So we have no news. Brad, I asked you before we started recording, anything in the rumor mill going around? Nothing concrete?
Nothing at all. Confirmed. It seems like we might see a new Death Stranding trailer there.
Okay.
Maybe, or that could be for South by Southwest, but it sounds like, we're getting fairly close to that game. So it sounds like there might be some new stuff for that.
Okay.
There's some rumors about God of War remasters, like old God of Wars, floating around, but then other rumors have kind of come out and counter-programmed those and said, no, those will not be there. And there was one other thing that has now slipped my mind. It was rumored to be there. Hellblade 2.
Oh.
Potentially. Because that's been rumored for a little bit that the next Xbox game for PS5 is going to be Hellblade 2.
That would make some sense.
So that could be there potentially.
And they'd have it at a state of play, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they've done that before. I'm pretty sure they've had Xbox games on.
Did they?
The previous state of play, I think.
I feel like they don't do big presentations around them, but they are usually at least part of some kind of reel of upcoming things, or there's a trailer.
They are saying it's going to be around 40 minutes, which is sizable. That's a good chunk. What's the old Saw? Are we gonna get Silk Song? Are we gonna get Bloodborne remastered?
No.
We getting what else? What else are the old Saws that come
What are the
out
old
for this
standbys?
I think those are the two, honestly.
At this stage of the game, yes.
Really.
It used to be a Shenmue. I feel like people are done with Shenmue now. And then
Everyone except Yu Suzuki somehow.
And then it used to be. Then it was Final Fantasy VII for a long time, right? And then we finally got that. You think we get any more Final Fantasy VII, like the third one?
Oh, not anytime
Not
soon.
yet.
I'd say
We're still 3 years off from seeing something.
probably 2 years before they really show anything. Maybe a year and a half. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what else could sneak in there.
Metroid Prime 4.
That'd be very funny.
Nintendo going to hijack.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sony's like kind of light on first party announced games right now.
They just did that big Helldivers expansion with the Illuminate, so that I don't think Helldivers would be in there.
Oh yeah, no, that ship sailed. Like they don't have a lot announced. Like there's the Wolverine game, but I don't think it's too early for that. Oh, Ghost of Yote is out this year. Maybe they'll show some more of that.
Yeah.
Is that early or late in the year?
I don't think they've said. I'm pretty sure they just said 2025. There's Fair Games and Marathon. Although
Marathon, right.
I don't know if they're eager to shove any more live service games front and center right now.
Probably get that I forget what the subtitle is, but that Elden Ring, not Elden Ring.
Night Rain.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's something I didn't even get into about the PlayStation Network outage. There were like multiple games running betas and tests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Last weekend, they're having to like reschedule and add on, like Monster Hunter Wilds was running a beta weekend that they're actually tacking another day onto, or maybe 2 days.
That's what crashed it.
Yep.
They crashed
too much
people.
Monster Hunter.
Yes, the first Elden Ring Night Rain test is this weekend. I thought about trying to get in on it, and then I looked at the times. It's like 3 to 6 a.m. Pacific time, and then like well into the evening of the same day, for like 2 hours each. I was like,
maybe not.
Sometimes those stress tests are a little too stress testy to actually be much fun.
But yeah, maybe they show some more of that.
Yeah, that's very possible. Actually, I think that just got a date for May, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, soon. Think you get a VR2 thing? PlayStation VR2 game? Throw them a bone? Throw me
Probably
a bone?
a thing, I would say.
Know. Maybe.
Do you think you get a block of PS5 Pro upgrade stuff? Like, hey, these games are all coming to the PS5 Pro with upgraded graphics, and
I think we're probably out of the window for that. For that like being something people get excited about.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll check it out. It's not a great time for us. Like I said, it's happening 5-ish after we're done with this podcast, but I will definitely keep an eye out for that. State of Play happening soon. You'll know. You'll all know when you're listening to this. So you could be like, man, can't believe how wrong they were about Bloodborne and Silksong.
Yeah.
Right in there. You missed it. All right. Moving on to Warner Brothers news. And before this, I asked you guys, hey, man, what's up with Warner Brothers?
You had such an opportunity there for a What's Up Doc joke, and you didn't do it.
What's up? That's all, folks? I don't... yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, we can move on.
Follow it up. No, okay, thanks.
We're going to let that one hang.
Okay, good. I feel like when we talk about Warner Brothers stuff now, it is always with this like specter hanging behind it.
This pall of despair.
Warner Brothers in general, and then specifically Warner Brothers games. Brad, what do we have going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't pretend to fully understand all the business and tax related ins and outs of what Warner Brothers generally has been up to for the last couple of years, with all the pulling content off streaming services for tax write-offs and X, Y, and Z. It has been an interesting couple of years for that company, though. Mm-hmm. And this seems to be off the back of the Multiverses shutdown that we talked about last week, but Jason Schreier at Bloomberg is out with another report on some more of their inner workings. And there's a couple of updates, let's say, on a couple of their big studios that are worth touching on here. The Wonder Woman game at Monolith. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It's actually a little hard to remember that because I didn't realize it's been 3+ years since they announced it.
And they've shown none of it, right?
And that's the thing. They have basically never revisited it in any form that I can remember since they announced it in 2021.
I remember it because in their game tracking tool, it just has that logo, and it's just been sitting there in the no release dates category.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes. And this is Monolith, Monolith will always be the Shogo developer to me.
Shogo, yep.
But, more recently, the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games, the two Lord of the Rings games with the Nemesis system that were quite good.
Or Fear,
Fear, yes. Fear, also a huge game from the Monolith catalog, but most recently, what's that?
Lithtech engine.
Oh yeah. That was the people's engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the Quake and Unreal stuff out there. Lithtech was just the one getting it done.
Yeah.
But like most recently, those Middle Earth games, the Lord of the Rings games, are kind of the thing they're known for. And it sounds like the Nemesis system, the big calling card from those games, was going to make its way into this Wonder Woman game to some degree. At any rate, if you're wondering why we haven't seen anything of it in so long, Jason Schreier has touched on that in the story. His sources have told him that the game changed directors last year and also was basically rebooted from the ground up. So it is a long ways off.
Never a great sign for a game that's already 3 years into development.
Yeah, the quote here is kind of brutal. The game this is like I said, early last year it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified, and is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market.
Aye.
So make of that what you will.
I mean, $100 million in terms of AAA game budgets sounds like a lot of money, but I feel like these days that's maybe like a quarter of a game of this type's like total budget or something. I mean, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I really wonder how much of this has to do with the game itself versus the way superhero stuff is currently performing.
You mean do you mean superhero stuff is performing
in the grander sphere of culture?
Media?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm including video games in that because, look, Suicide Squad had very specific problems that had less to do with the superhero boom and more to do with what that game was. But, Avengers flopped. Spider-Man stuff has been doing very well, but that stuff has also been doing well in the movies. But a lot of the other superhero stuff in movies and in other places,
especially DC,
is not hitting. And the Marvel stuff is also starting to really not hit. That new Captain America movie is not getting good reviews.
Oh, wait, is that the one with the Hulk?
With the Red Hulk, yes, with a very disinterested Harrison Ford playing Red Hulk.
Wait, is that really what's going on there?
Yes, he plays the general who becomes a president and I think becomes Red Hulk. I don't know all the details, but the point is...
the fatigue is real and people are tired. The fatigue
is real, and I think the quality isn't necessarily there enough to make up for the fatigue.
Yeah. I was a big Marvel movie fan up through Endgame, the Avengers stuff. And then I got completely burned out. We talked about this ad nauseum, but like same thing with Star Wars stuff, right? Like it's just fatigue. You pump it too much, and there's just too much.
Yeah.
And with the video game stuff, you just got to do something in the space that's interesting and new, and that's hard. That's really hard to do.
Yeah, it is. And
for any game.
And the other thing is, I even if you take the larger cultural context out of it, I do wonder if the bringing in of James Gunn and the sort of like internal mandates there about trying to turn their whole DC slate into a contained universe might have had something to do with that reboot as well.
Oh, I had not thought about that angle on this.
Because there was like a memo that went around at some point at WB where they were like, yeah, we're going to make sure all our stuff aligns in a way. Oh, yeah,
for sure. Yeah. That was definitely the case, but you would think that game design would be immune to something like that. Like you might have to change the look of the character or certain other like brand details about it to align with whatever James Gunn is doing in the cinematic space. But like a full reboot, though, you would think at least like design work, like the basic
something had
mechanics,
to be wrong there. Yeah,
right. You would think that sort of thing could survive something that was just mandating like, hey, we need this to look and feel like what Gunn is doing.
I'm sorry, I don't really know, and maybe you guys know better than I do. Is there a Wonder Woman specific thing going on?
Not currently.
Okay, but they have the Justice League stuff still going on.
The debut of the next Superman movie is basically supposed to be the launching point for the forget about all those other DC movies. Here comes James Gunn stuff.
Okay. So there's not like a casting for a new Wonder Woman out there.
Not that I'm aware of. They have not really said too much at this point about what they plan to do with their properties that had people occupying those roles, though it does sound like the Matt Reeves Batman stuff is going to be ongoing for a while.
Well, it's a good thing they're not making any new Batman games.
Yes. I mean,
before
about that.
Before we move on to that, I'll just say real quick, like I'm not a huge comic book guy in general, and even less so like the DC properties. So I was not like inherently like super excited about this game, but I really like the Nemesis system.
Oh yeah,
like
I've been
really
waiting
like
for that.
And I think this is probably going back to Giant Bomb when this news ran that it turned out that, or maybe we covered that on here. It turned out that they had patented the Nemesis system.
Yes, I do remember reporting on that.
Like, so they've got the thing legally locked up in such a way that people can't really replicate it in other games. And it's been quite a while. I think 2017 is when Shadow of War came out. So it's just been a long time since a game came out with that kind of design sensibility in that exact form. And I was excited to play another game like that. So for this to be in such trouble and maybe not ever actually see the light of day, kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, bummer. I don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers. I mean, I don't know what's going on with video games. I don't know what's going on with a lot of things currently.
Yeah.
I think there was a quote in this story. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was about Warner Brothers in general or the game division. Oh yeah, here it is. At the end there. Tumultuous period in which Warner Brothers struggled through multiple reorganizations led to years of ineffectual trend chasing and wasted development time. And you could totally imagine what trends those were, right? With
yes.
Live service or games as services.
But you know what? That particular line of criticism you can pretty much apply to just about every major publisher and platform holder right now.
Totally.
Like they all were making those same bad bets into differing degrees. I think Warner Brothers might be feeling it more than others, though, because they don't really have that reliable every year thing that they can just like plug in for the money hole like an EA does.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter did do very well for them, but that other Harry Potter game, the Quidditch one, apparently did not.
Yeah, that's part of this big story from Schreier is that Multiverses and the Quidditch game both flopped.
Yeah. I think it's just I just don't care enough about a lot of this stuff, but it feels the sentiment I get because they're still making Harry Potter movies, right? Is there's fatigue there as well?
No, not right now.
They actually, in fact, they killed the last Fantastic Beasts movie. Like that whole franchise got a bullet put in it.
Literally, after the second movie.
I thought you were going to say they're doing great.
No. No, they are apparently casting for I think a Max series that is supposed to be like kind of a prequel / reboot of the Harry Potter things, starring actors that don't hate J.K. Rowling.
Okay.
So that seems to be the direction they're going. But I don't think that thing has fully gotten off the ground yet.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so not the money machine.
No.
Currently.
No. And even Mortal Kombat, like it's fairly reliable in terms of the release cadence, but and I'm sure one did fine, but I don't feel like one got a foothold the way that the last couple did.
I agree. Like it was kind of like I think even we talked about it. For me, look, narratively, that game didn't do it for me. It was interesting. It was
experiment. I like an experiment, but it just didn't feel like it panned out.
And then I just didn't play, and I never will play the continuing fighting part of it, like the ongoing fighting scene of it. That's not for me, but you guys do, and you guys didn't seem to like it too much.
I played a lot of 11 online, and I tried with 1, and it just did not stick with me the same way.
I played a lot more Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 than I did Mortal Kombat 1, and I did not actually play that much of Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8.
I'm looking at WB's games here, and I got to say the stuff they have on their website is on their top. It's just weird to say considering what we just said. On their top banner here, the 5 games they have. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, Multiverses, Suicide Squad, Game of Thrones Conquest, and Hogwarts Legacy.
That's
5 video games.
But like 3 of those 5 or maybe
are basically dead. Like that's a rough lineup.
And Mortal Kombat 1 not in that banner, huh?
Yeah.
It's on the next it's on the next row.
Okay.
MK1, Lego Star Wars, Arkham Trilogy, Gotham Knights, Back for Blood. And then it's MK11.
Oh, they did put out Back for Blood, didn't they?
Yep. That was them, Gotham Knights, yeah.
Wow.
So I will say looking at this, Lego Maybe Lego is their cash cow.
Yeah,
at
like
this
Lego.
point?
Lego always prints money. Like Hogwarts did extremely well, as we know. Like it's not that entire lineup was not a disaster, but enough of it did not hit.
But those Lego games aren't on a yearly cadence.
This is a weird fucking page. I'm not gonna lie. This page is fucking weird. Out on this page is Middle Earth Shadow of War Definitive Edition. Like,
that's been
how
a while.
old is that game?
I don't know. They still want you to buy it.
It's 7 or 8 years old.
Mortal Kombat XL, Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor is on this. Scribblenauts Showdown is on here. Injustice 2 Mobile is on here.
They're a weird publisher, man. They just are.
This is their like games page.
Yeah, I still wonder.
This is their latest games page.
Yeah. I still wonder if something is yet to happen with all this, because there were so many rumors about them selling off some of their internal studios.
Yeah.
Over the last year or 2 or 3.
I still think it may come to that eventually, but I don't know when or how.
Especially with several of these projects like very conspicuously not working. I wonder if they start trying to divest to some degree.
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe Game of Thrones Conquest is killing it on mobile.
Maybe
it's one of those things that just like runs the whole thing. But man, that was a surprise to see that stuff on here.
Yes, for sure. All right, now pretend the last 5 minutes of discussion did not happen, and I'll call that Batman segue.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other.
At least they're not making a Batman game.
I don't know.
That's the other tidbit from this Schreier report is, I mean, it's pretty short and sweet. It sounds like Rocksteady is back to making a new single player Batman game again.
They're going to make the fourth Batman game.
Yep, the fourth one. Oh, that's man. Poor Arkham Origins. I didn't much care for that game. I didn't. Maybe I should have put more time into it.
I think it's getting a reappraisal.
I kind of bounced off of it, but boy, does that game really take punishment in the popular consciousness. I feel like.
I mean, isn't it Rocksteady who also kind of disavowed it?
That's right.
I
don't think they ever said anything like pointed about it. I think it was just a lot of language about like
the trilogy.
The Arkham trilogy concludes with Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Kind of just ignoring its existence.
It wasn't a piece of shit or anything. It just wasn't like a great Batman game.
Yeah, I just remember feeling like, feels like it's like that, but not quite as good.
Yeah.
So, refresh my memory for Rocksteady. Were they not working on a Flash game, or was that a rumor that never?
No, who was that?
Someone was. Yeah, you're right. There was a Flash game that was getting rumored at some point.
Okay, typing Flash game into Google is just not going to
get you there.
Not going to work.
Was it not Rocksteady?
I don't think so.
Because they were on Suicide Squad for a really long time.
But I thought maybe it was like, maybe you're right. I thought maybe it was like they were rumored to be doing a Flash or Marvel superhero game that turned out to be Suicide Squad, and then everybody was like, "Oh, okay, you're doing this thing."
Possibly WB Montreal.
That's the Origins people, so that would make some sense.
Is rumored to have been working on a Flash game.
Okay, well, that's not this. That's not this.
No. This is. I mean, this was. Suicide Squad was Rocksteady moving on to something different after making 3 Batman games, and that did not work, and now it seems like they're going back to Batman.
This is their Rock Band 4.
Yes, except it's not quite the same studio. I mean, obviously, I don't want to assign too much importance to like founders of studios and stuff like that, but there has been turnover there. The leadership of Rocksteady left before Suicide Squad was even out the door. The people who founded the studio. So definitely some amount of natural turnover, and they've had layoffs and compression. Or
look, a studio is just people.
It is
people.
So,
and who you put in those creative positions does make a lot of difference.
So it's not even entirely the same team that made those Arkham games. I don't know. I would probably play another Arkham game if it was really good, but it does feel a little bit like throwing in the towel and just going like, well, back to what works.
Yeah, I'd be very curious what they would do. I would also, I'm same with you, Brad. I would definitely want to check it out. But man, what made those original Arkham games, and include all of them, was very time and place. Batman combat, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you just go back to that, or do you have to do something new, right?
I still like that kind of combat. Some people seem really burned out on it, but
everybody did it.
Yeah, everybody did it, and very few did it as well.
Yeah, you're right. Like I feel like the Spider-Man, the Insomniac Spider-Man games are the kind of torchbearers of that style of combat now.
Yes, absolutely.
Very slidey and snappy to people. But it was kind of a time and place thing, and hunting around Arkham Asylum was awesome, and they escalated and they got their greatest hits. I don't know if I'm as enthusiastic to jump back into that. I feel like that story was kind of told and told well.
Yeah, that's done. And that also raises questions about like the Arkham verse was kind of its own thing, like it had its own identity.
Yeah.
Do they have to start conforming this new one to the James Gunn stuff? Although, like you said, the Matt Reeves Batman is still going somewhat in defiance of the James Gunn verse. So I don't actually know what form a new Arkham game takes at this point.
Yeah.
I still think Asylum is the best one in my memory. As someone who did not replay those games, so
what are the three?
It was Asylum, City, and Night out of Rocksteady and Origins from Montreal.
I don't remember Night as I remember the setup with the other Batman.
Yeah, Night is not great.
I liked it okay. It's not perfect. It's a lot of Batmobile. Like
I genuinely
a lot of Batmobile.
I genuinely think that the bigger those games got, the less good they got. Like I think mechanically Arkham City, I think, was like the good blending of, what was good about Asylum, but like giving it a little bit more size. But as soon as they got in their head they needed to make Arkham as big as possible, I feel like they really started losing the thread of that thing.
And that whole series had Mark Hamill, right, for the Joker?
Yeah.
Not only did the series have Mark Hamill, that whole series had Kevin Conroy as Batman, including Suicide Squad.
I didn't want to bring it up.
So they are also going to have to cast a new Batman.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's just an extra bummer. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to. In my heart, I was like, "Fuck it."
Everything's already such a bummer. Yes, I understand, but like, in truth, Suicide Squad was the last video game performance by Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe they get whoever is doing the new Batman to get in there, but
I don't know if you're getting Robert Pattinson in there.
That's
the Reeves Batman.
That's the Reeves Batman? Okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't know that I don't there's no evidence to suggest they are going to do the Reeves thing, but right now that is the only ongoing Batman movie thing.
Gosh, it's just so hard. This is why I didn't want to bring it up. It's so hard to imagine a new Arkham game without Kevin Conroy's voice coming out of that.
Seriously.
Batman. It's like, I don't want to hold it against it because, they should be able to do what they need to do with their property and make Batman games. But boy, that is just not my Batman.
Voice of a generation, man.
Yeah. Well, probably hear about that in 5 years as well. So I don't know. Take your time, make it great. Take your time, wait for the superhero stuff to filter out and come back around again. I don't know. What the hell? Take your time and wait for Warner Brothers to sell you off as a studio.
I'm telling you right now, track and look and see how Fantastic Four and Superman do. And if those movies don't hit, even if they do well critically, if those movies don't hit, we're done. That's it. That is the end of the superhero boom.
Even without a full X-Men reboot?
Yes. They waited too long.
There's no room?
I think they waited too fucking long.
I think so.
Well, Fantastic Four. Come on, Fantastic Four hasn't grabbed purchase in 3 movies, two reboots.
No, it hasn't. And
ever.
And those movies are dog shit. I'm not trying to defend them at all, but I'm not saying this one's going to be good. But what I'm saying is that feels like where they are trying to hitch their next big tentpole to, and if that don't hit, that signals not great things.
I would say more Superman. Fantastic Four just feels like they've never had luck with that franchise. They just can't make it work. I don't know why they can't make it work exactly, but you can't make it work.
I think they are the most old comics of all the current going big superhero names. They just, everything about their origin, everything about the dynamic of the team, everything about it screams the early 1960s.
Sure. Yep. Not wrong. I generally agree with you. I still think even in the Doomsday scenario you're describing, I feel like they would still try it with X-Men.
Yes, they will try. I'm not saying they won't try, but I think the day is done if these things don't work.
Sure. Yes.
Well, don't forget the other thing they'd have to do with the X-Men, which could kill it or sink it, is they got to cast a new Wolverine, right? So I think so much of that would be like, and here's your new Wolverine, or they need to find somebody who's not. I mean, when they made the original X-Men, Wolverine was very, very hot. So maybe they find somebody else that's like, here's your new Cyclops, and we're going all in on Cyclops, or I don't
never
know,
go
Gambit?
all in on Cyclops.
Gambit?
Here, Gambit's time was the 90s, and that was it, Brad.
Gambit's time was a cameo in a Deadpool movie. That is it.
We're never getting that Gambit time back. That is Gambit's time was the original X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, I watched the cartoon. I wasn't like huge into it, but I remember like at the time it felt like Gambit was the guy.
He was in the 90s.
Gambit was everybody's favorite guy.
100%. He was an invention of that late 80s, early 90s era, and he was explicitly designed to be the cool guy for the 90s of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Gambit's ready.
He taught a whole bunch of kids what Cajun even meant.
Everybody knows Mon Ami.
Mon cher.
That's it. All right. Warner Brothers, best of luck to you, I guess. Figure your shit out. Steam out there getting people tired of people maybe sending in refunds for games that never turn into anything, get no updates. Brad, what's going on with Steam's newest notification?
There's a very small little policy change that SteamDB noticed and tweeted about. Steam is now starting to explicitly flag early access games that seem like they have been abandoned. It seems like this is probably just programmatic based on how long since the last time the developer pushed an update.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's anybody at Valve like looking at stuff, eyeballing a game and saying, yeah, they have taken the money and run or anything like that. But they are starting to put a notice in the early access box now on the page. Here's the example that SteamDB dug up it says, note, the last update made by the developers was over 14 months ago. I don't know which game this is. The information and timeline described by the developers here may no longer be up to date. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of surprised it took this long for something like this to happen.
I actually think, at least on a more like visible scale, like the bigger early access games for the most part, there haven't been too many examples of like really hotly anticipated ones like being just outright abandoned. But I bet there are lots of examples of much smaller, less visible games that we don't know about where this has happened repeatedly. Yeah,
you're probably right. Like the highest profile one I can think of is, you tell me if this is actually high profile or not, Goddess.
Yes.
Peter Molyneux God game. That even got kickstarted. It wasn't just early access. They also ran a Kickstarter for it.
If you give that man money, you have no one to blame but yourself.
That game is still in early access. Will never be finished.
Yet.
Does not have this notation.
No, it doesn't say.
As of right now. Oh, that's because they took it down from sale.
Yeah.
Because they literally don't sell the game anymore. So no reason to put that on there. But I mean, this is a good change. Of course, it does feel like something that maybe should have been there sooner.
Yeah.
Because there is language. There's preemptive language on early access games, to be clear, about like, kind of warning you like, hey, this game's not finished right now. Like you're like, in effect, you're taking a bit of a chance spending money on it.
It may never advance to the promised state.
Right. But like specifically noting games that seem like they have been abandoned seems like something that, I mean, it's a good change, but maybe should have been there.
Yeah, and I imagine this is a check that if it's a developer that for some reason took 14 months to do an update but is still working on it, can challenge it and say, no, I'm still working on this, and just has to provide proof.
Yeah, one would hope.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind just a little thing that said, like, since last update, though, that I don't want to add pressure to developers who don't need pressure, to be like, oh, we got to get an update out on things, but I wouldn't mind a little thing to just see like what was how long since the last update, months, years,
I sort of agree with you. I think I'm more on the side of, if you are going to put your game into an early access state, there is a little bit of an implied contract of, hey, if you don't make good on this, people are going to notice and say stuff about it. So I think generally speaking, the pressure you might have on you to keep an early access release from being abandoned, I don't really mind that.
Yeah, I hope to amend what I said a little bit. Hopefully this isn't just you have to push an actual patch to the game.
Yeah, it could even just be like blog updates or whatever.
Right.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
I would hope at least a news story, because I mean you could message your audience on the news page and at least keep people in the loop if you don't have anything ready yet.
Like at least so people can kind of know you're out there listening.
Right.
I guess there's definitely some room for exploitation with that, of just like,
yeah, sure.
Hey, make sure you backdate a post or do something weird.
At some point, some of the onus is then on Valve to like keep actual people looking at the stuff and keep it all in line, because I think like Valve has done a fair amount of like programmatic sorting of games and stuff like this in the past.
Maybe drop stuff out of view if it's updates aren't happening. I think the good information's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. They just sent out that thing too that was just bumping around in the news about hey, you may have downloaded a virus for
Oh my
one of their
God.
games. Look, they're a storefront. That stuff's on every storefront. So, good on Valve for at least sending out a notice that was like, hey, heads up, we took this thing down, and just so you know, I don't know what kind of vetting you could do for the amount of garbage they serve on Steam now. Like, what are you gonna do if somebody pushes bad code up there?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope they have some kind of automated virus scanning going on, but I'm sure there's
malicious
all kinds of ways you could get past stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a rough one. So I was glad to see that. Mixed reactions with that story. My take was like pretty glad to see that they took it down and sent a notification to anyone who bought it and was like, "Get yourself washed, get yourself clean." I think it was SteamDB also that I saw that virus warning thing. They're out there getting all the games.
I think, didn't that notice basically say like, hey, you might want to like format and like wipe your machine?
It was definitely something that's like, I think it was Pirates FI or something. If people are curious.
Yeah.
There is so much garbage on Steam.
It's
garbage.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot. It is a lot.
It was funny. This conversation led me to look up a game that I had an early access version of that is a game. Okay, the short version of the story is when I was at GameSpot.
Okay.
That I did an interview with a guy who was determined to make his own version of those old, like a new version of those N64 wrestling games that no one ever made anymore. And some many years later, he managed to get a version of it either kickstarted or something, and then eventually a version of it ended up on Steam. And it's called Pro Wrestling X, and for the love of God, do not give it any money. It is nothing. It is an absolute nothing of a game and has been pretty much throughout its entire development history. But I was curious to look into this and see, like, is he still updating this? Does it have this message? The guy is still putting out patches for this thing, like, as of late last year.
All right. Look, props for that.
It is. Yeah. He's calling it version 1.33. It's still technically an early access product.
It's only $10.
Do not spend that $10. I cannot stress this enough. This is not a thing.
When was the last time you tried it?
It's been some time.
It sounds like there have been a lot of patches.
Not according to the reviews that I'm reading, where it seems like they have not actually fixed any of the things that were not very good about it. I appreciated the man's spirit at the time. I feel like this might be a white whale situation.
Making games is hard.
Yeah.
Making games is hard. And now somebody's going to let everybody know if you haven't tried to make a game in a while.
Don't worry, another person is trying to make that kind of game right now. It's called Ultra Pro Wrestling. I have no idea if it will ever actually come out or not, but it seems like more of a game.
I was poking around, and I was only able to find one or two games with that tag on it for early access stuff. So
it might be they're rolling it out.
Yeah, maybe it's not being applied across the board right now, or everybody's keeping up with their early access stuff, or at least the stuff Steam is surfacing. Steam trying to turn the early access world upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Okay, pretty good. Huh? Like
there you go.
But Nintendo.
Yep.
All right. Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
No. You finished the joke. We can move on.
Yes. Video Games Chronicle dug up this Japanese patent that Nintendo has filed. I never even considered that this would be possible with this new magnetic lock-on thing for the Joy-Cons on the Switch 2. Sounds like you're going to be able to reverse those things and basically get an upside-down Switch.
What the fuck?
Upside-down Switch.
Why?
What are we doing? Shut it down.
Why?
I mean, the only thing that came to mind for me, which this patent also points out, actually, does the patent actually mention the headphones itself? I'm not sure if that appears in the text or not. But that was the first thing that came to mind for me, is that you could pick what side the headphone jack is on. Potentially. I don't know what else. But it's cool.
Are we just doing things because we can now, not
cool.
because we should?
That's a good reason to do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, will there be a top and a bottom? I guess
I
whatever
know.
side the logo is printed on.
It could be versatile.
The side is up, yeah. I mean, I assume the volume button side will still be up. by default.
You say so.
But the headphone jack is on the top of the current Switch, and it is a little weird, maybe. Although, whatever. I mean, it's fine. Like, it's not the end of the world. I don't know what they'll use this for beyond that. It did make me wonder. Remember, there's USB-C port on both edges of the Switch 2. Like, it made me wonder almost, will you be able to dock this thing either way?
Stack your switches.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Do not stack your switches.
I doubt you'll be able to dock this thing.
I don't know. I could see it. Is is the USB-C port in the same exact spot on both?
A, there's that. I'm not 100% sure they're aligned. B, I'm guessing it would probably increase the manufacturer cost somewhat because you would need whatever circuitry is involved in the video out on both sides, which they might not want to pay for. So I'm guessing you'll still have to dock it one way, but I'm kind of curious if this is for other reasons we can't think of right now.
Only Nintendo
It has
knows.
to be, because otherwise I can't make heads or tails of it. Ha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe for left-handed people, would that matter? I'm not sure.
It could.
Maybe.
That could be a reason.
I don't know. A, this is a little goofy, but B, we're still kind of in the honeymoon period on a new console where you just like are excited to see what tricks they've got up their sleeves. You know, like, why is this possible here? Like, what are they doing with this? I want to see what clever ideas they've come up with for stuff that we don't know about yet.
April 2nd, right? That's when they're supposed to announce this stuff.
I believe that's the case.
It's such a weird thing.
Which
Everything's
actually,
weird now, man.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Like,
normal.
I was just about to say, when they first announced the Switch 2 like a month ago, it was like, my God, 3 months until we see more of this thing? And now, like, that'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
The way the time compression is currently working.
Yeah, but it'll be here tomorrow. Also, it'll be here like a millennium from now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the days are long, the weeks are short.
Yeah. I just mean the Switch 2 is not always top of mind at the moment.
No. Yes. Yeah. I don't get this, man. Wait, I'm looking at this picture.
Yeah.
So you take the controller off and you flip the whole Switch around and you just put the controllers back on? Because the picture they're showing in the patent, the controllers are upside down.
Yeah. I don't know.
So why is the picture in the patent? Why wouldn't they just flip it over in the patent picture?
I don't know.
Maybe there's a missing image in this thing that I need to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think patent illustrations are often not fully descriptive of the actual thing, right?
Okay.
Like, it has to be enough to capture the spirit of the patent.
Okay.
Of course, looking at the illustration, I think this is a Japanese patent, so maybe they have different rules. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe.
Yeah. The bigger thing is just, there might still be like tricks to this hardware that we're not really expecting. Yeah,
that's right. In the next WarioWare game, it's going to be detach your controllers, flip the screen over, plug them back in, go. Nintendo, you goofballs.
Doing what they do. Confusing us.
Confusing everyone. All right. I think that's going to do it for the news. There was another story. We didn't pull it. It had just come out. But there was Crysis 4 layoffs at Crytek.
Crytek layoffs. Yeah, it seems like Crysis 4 has been put on hold.
We don't have all the details of it, but layoffs still happening across the board of the industry.
Things aren't getting more stable.
No. When that Switch comes out, isn't it like wouldn't we go over a lot of analyst reports of like, man, they can't fucking wait for that Switch to come out to buoy the market.
They want to see that growth.
Yeah.
They want to see that growth. A lot of hopes on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep. And there's another story I started to put in here and did not because it was really not, it's kind of a non-story, but Take-Two was out there reiterating that GTA 6 will be out this year.
Yeah. Come hell or high water.
So big year for two companies in the game industry.
When do you think we find out, like, when we get the actual, like, drop for GTA 6?
Drop of like
first
information?
Big media blitz for it.
Oh, just sort of here's the demo. Here's what it looks like. I don't know.
Do they have a date?
No, definitely not. But they are confirming. They are reassuring investors that it will be out this year.
I say June.
I was gonna say summer. Yeah,
maybe summer. I'd say relatively close to release.
Yeah, I'd say within 4 to 5 months of release at the absolute.
Like, I'm trying to think back to, I know I referenced this event a lot, but, getting to go see GTA 5 in a hotel room before it came out, but that was fairly close to it coming out.
Summer Game Fest and it's available now.
Yes, but they won't do it at Summer Games Fest.
They won't give them the
No, they'll just run their own trailer and just say fuck it.
I wonder if this is too big a deal financially for them to do something like that.
Oh my gosh! Also, they can command whatever audience they want. Right?
Yeah,
they don't need it.
They can put that shit on the Super Bowl if they felt like it.
Yeah, what I mean is like for,
like a gimmick.
No, for like just again like just how much of the company's revenue rests on this thing. They probably don't want to pull any surprises at all.
So you'll get like a media blitz and a big announce.
They want to message a date well in advance.
Sure,
probably
that tracks.
Maybe it'll be announced in GTA Online, and
maybe
that's where you find it. Available now in GTA Online. All right, that's the news. Emails.
Yes.
An email address. Podcast@nextlander.com. Podcast@nextlander.com. What's up with the emails?
Joe from the UK writes in. Did not even plan it this way, but this is the email I had in front of me. Do you think you'll live long enough to see Grand Theft Auto 7?
God, I hope so.
This question has gotten more urgent and more dire.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, we got 6 coming out, so
out of nowhere here. I mean, it'll be 12 years.
Yeah.
From 5 to 6.
I mean, yes. Still, the answer is still yes.
The time is increasing dramatically from one to the next.
Even if it's 24 years, yes is still my answer.
I think it was only, 5 years from 4 to 5, I believe.
5 years? Yeah, that sounds right. And also, I mean, don't forget Red Dead did come in the interim there.
They did make 2 Red Dead games in their, to be
window.
Fair.
Nobody knows what GTA 7 will be played on, but GTA 8 will be played on sticks.
Yep, sticks and stones.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Einstein.
I think I will live to see GTA 7. Whether I will be in a state to appreciate it, that I cannot say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay,
I might be a vegetable by then. It's hard to say.
Also to address this with more seriousness than I think the asker probably intended, but like there's also the online factor. Like maybe they try to stretch GTA 6 online out into the forever GTA. Because, if they can spend $1 billion making a GTA sequel and then make X billion dollars off of that, they would love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What if they didn't spend that $1 billion and still kept making the same amount of money off of it? Like, I think there's a good chance they will just try to squeeze every last bit out of this thing for as long as humanly possible, which could be quite a long time.
What if the market's not there anymore? What if the world has changed the humor is gone. The kids don't connect with the snarky, would-be satirical movie riffing. What if?
I mean, I think there's a risk of that with 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For 6,
yeah.
What if it just doesn't land? And it's like all the people who are like the GTA big fans, like us, that were like, yeah, GTA is this legendary thing. Are like, what's the big deal, Grandpa?
Well,
this game, I'm out here skibbity toileting in my whatever.
Yeah, I'm of a couple of minds here. I think the bigger issue is not going to be that it's a generational thing, and more that can they actually evolve their voice? Because that's been the question ever since, especially since Dan Houser left, is what is the actual voice of that game now? What is the tone of it? Are you still making thinly veiled gay jokes every chance you get? Like, are you still doing the shrieking misogyny, or are you trying to modulate in such a way so that it sounds something more modern, not the version of parody that video gamers thought they wanted in the 90s and early 2000s?
Yeah, I mean, I think the move to a female playable character for the first time suggests that they are trying to move forward with the series a little bit. I mean, how successful they are at that, we'll see.
I said this, I think, during the announcement, but yeah, move to a female protagonist or
it's a split protagonist, but
yeah, but like including one. Do you like? There is. I said this at the time. Are we just going to hit the like GTA went woke versus the GTA's for is MAGA movement, and you're just going to split down the line for people who are highly polarized? And just make nobody happy.
I mean, that's what GTA has always been, though, right? Like, it's been in the everything to everyone game. Like, you can always point at various points of it and say, see, they agree with me. Because, as much as they are satirizing and trying to brutalize American culture, sometimes deservedly, they also just make the most obvious and, like, frankly, sometimes, like, barely a jokes because it's just their version of satire is just loud and sort of in your face in a way that feels kind of ancient by today's standards.
I don't know if it was as polar. It definitely was not as polarized as it is now.
Well, the world. No, you're right. The world was in a different state of polarization than it is now. I think people would have projected their own shit onto it no matter what. But now, especially, like, people are going to be trying to read the fucking tea leaves on that thing in a way that maybe it doesn't even actually deserve.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like definitely coming out in such a hyper polarized environment that I am very curious to see what the general reaction is, and then I'm very curious to not care. Like, you know, like to be like, wow, there's going to be a lot of hand wringing on all around on this thing, and then the people who want to enjoy the game will just play the game. Yeah, you know, and that's kind of where I think maybe it should be, of just be like, you know what, at the end of the day, as long as you ain't hurting nobody, just go enjoy your
well,
game.
We haven't seen what it's going to do yet. Maybe it will hurt somebody.
It's true. I don't know. Could be. Look, could hurt 2K's bottom line. We don't know. Or most likely it will do fine.
I think sales wise, it will do just fine.
It will do fine. Yes, and meet and exceed expectations. A lot of expectations out there.
I don't know what kind of expectations can be exceeded these days.
I think, was it
you can never exceed expectations. Just means you didn't evaluate.
Was it Strauss Zelnick that I saw? I forget who was saying this, you know, the head of Take-Two. I think it was him or somebody was suggesting off the back of this report that, like, that game single-handedly is going to lift
the
declining console sales. You know, like Xbox is definitely not in good shape sales-wise. Like PS5 better, but, you know, it's kind of the whole story of the console market right now is that everything is stagnant, right? But like the idea was basically like, yes, droves of people are going to go out and buy new consoles just for this game, which may not entirely be wrong.
Who's going to go get a GTA tattoo? Who needs to do it?
We got to get Peter Moore out of storage.
Where is Peter Moore? Is he just retired?
Farm Upstate.
Which football club was he running? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember. It was one of the bigger ones, I think.
Tottenham?
Yeah, no. Tottenham.
Was that the one?
Is it the Tottenham Hotspurs?
Is that even a club?
That is a club. Tottenham is a club. I can tell you that.
Ask me. Liverpool.
Liverpool, okay.
I'm sorry, it was Liverpool.
No, Tottenham is the one I think Ryan Reynolds went in on.
Okay.
Oh, wait, look, this is a dumb question. Don't make fun of me. It wasn't a real tattoo, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
No needle shall ever pierce that skin. No needle shall prosper here.
Wait, did we talk about this? Peter Moore is at Unity. How did I forget about that?
Wait, I don't think I remember that either. Like recent Unity or
like trying to clean up John Riccatello's mess?
No,
Unity?
Like 3 years ago.
Is he just on the board?
Sports and live entertainment for Unity.
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. That sounds a little bit like a fake job.
I don't know.
Where's Riccatello?
That I don't know.
In hiding.
Okay.
You see fucking Kotick was out there talking reams of shit about him?
I looked at that stuff and I thought, like, should we talk about that? No, I don't really want to give Bobby Kotick more air.
No, yeah,
he's already gotten. And now here I am talking about it anyway. But yes, he really was just letting loose.
The airing of grievances has begun.
Let them fight.
He called Riccatello the worst CEO in video games.
Jeez.
And he would know.
That's boy.
We would have paid for Riccatello to stay CEO forever. We thought he was the worst CEO in video games.
Damn.
Oh man. Look,
I mean, that guy was kind of a dum-dum, but man.
Yes.
CEOs usually don't say that about other CEOs.
Apparently this was in a meeting, or this was in an interview with Bing Gordon. Not with, they were both kind of being interviewed here.
Right.
He said, I'm not saying this because Gordon is sitting right here, but our fear was always that Bing was going to run EA. I always thought Bing Gordon is maybe the most, like,
pretty good
blue blood corporate ass executive name I've ever heard in my life.
Like Bing has got a yacht and a couple of sweaters around his neck.
Yep.
That's wild. What does he think of Andrew Wilson? Tell me, please. Please go on. Please tell me.
I don't think he cares because it doesn't have to compete against him. Well, he did compete against
for
him
a while,
for some time, though, so he probably has an opinion.
I mean, he might have to compete against him at Disney. Whatever Kotick is doing. Is Wilson still on that short list?
I don't know what's that. I have no idea what's
I've
going
heard
on.
nothing about that in a while, so
I have no idea what's going on with that.
God, can you imagine that dude winds up running Disney? Wild
Yeah.
world.
my God,
Yep.
Disney might become evil.
Possible. It's America's favorite. It's America's sweetheart.
He's going to take that fucking frozen Walt Disney head and replace his Android head with it.
No, he would take his head and put it next to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I need to get into the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get me some of that.
Yeah. Some of that good cryogenics, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe that's why they're getting him in there, so they can put Walt's head on him.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Take
They're
Wilson's head off, put Walt Disney's head on, and there you go.
Maybe that's why they're just trying to lure him in there.
Yeah.
And then Walt can be, now it's Walt's time to shine. Let everything out of the archive. Let it go.
See, look, we're never going to do executive interviews again. We can say stuff like this.
No, they'll come on.
Yeah.
They need the Nextlander bump.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of executive interviews to begin with, outside of Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer and the occasional
To be fair.
Stadia executive.
Yeah.
You guys, didn't one of you? I feel like I filmed an Andrew Wilson interview.
Maybe. Like I would occasionally get an interview with somebody like Mike Ibarra when he was at Xbox, who was kind of like executive team, but not the head guy.
And Reggie
at the time.
What was that woman that Brad?
Reggie was never that accessible, but occasionally
interviewed that. I did that interview with you. She was on stage for like an E3 or 2.
Oh, who were my? I can't remember who. I know.
You know who? She was like, I forget what her role was, but she was up there with Reggie, and it was like, oh my gosh, is she going to take over for Reggie? And then she
From
kind of
Nintendo?
disappeared. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I cannot remember who that was now.
Denise, maybe.
Oh yes. It'll come to me after this. It's been a long time.
But yes, you know what I'm talking about. Like
Yes.
she was doing a lot of talking for Nintendo, and then kind of stopped, and then Reggie took back over again to be frontman for Nintendo. I can't remember. Candace?
I cannot. It's killing. It's going to kill me now. I've got to figure this out.
But anyway, that was a big interview. I remember at the time.
Yeah.
Who else? You talked to? I mean, this isn't a high-powered CEO. I'm trying to think of interviews that were fun. Not Sid Meier. I've never filmed an interview with Sid Meier, but Spore. What's his name? Will Wright.
Oh, did we talk to Will Wright?
Didn't we talk to him at that event for the Spore event?
I don't know.
Was that not part of the press package?
I still talk about that thing every third time we walk by the Academy of Science.
Very cool.
I still reminisce about that Spore launch party there. My girlfriend is so tired of hearing about it.
Super cool.
That was one of the coolest video game events I ever went to ever. It's just a science museum, to be clear.
Yeah.
But they remodeled the California Academy of Science in San Francisco, and that's where they had the Spore launch party before the museum reopened. So we got to go in there.
Empty museum.
Go in there for like a swanky little after hours like launch party for a game in a science museum that had not opened to the public yet.
Yep.
And Will Wright and Frank Drake were there.
Pretty cool. And we got to watch the planetarium show and the
real quick here on the back of talking about video game executive types and GTA related stuff. The Benz's game is at that state of play.
Oh, is that confirmed?
Yeah, Mind's Eye coming summer this year, apparently.
Oh God, did we ever shoot that thing?
What thing?
Shoot what?
State of play. Or is that a leak? It hasn't started yet?
I think it's going right now.
Oh, so we did overshoot it.
Yeah, we did.
Oops. Oh, overshoot it. I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
did we shoot it?
This thing ran
Oh,
way
live
longer than I
updates.
thought.
What's happening?
So here, I'm looking through right now. I have been looking at some updates. There wasn't anything that crazy up to this point. Let me see here. Just give me a moment.
IGN doesn't have one of their very useful everything announced stories up yet.
Go to our events page on the database thing.
Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Okay, here we are with
network test coming February 21st.
Here's our I've got in fact IGN does in fact have that story up. Here it is. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the MGS3 remake.
Mm-hmm.
What? Came out in August? August 28th.
August 28th.
I mean, at least it's got a date now, but man, that's like people thought that was coming out last year. I think it's taking some time.
Borderlands 4 has a date.
Yeah, September 23rd.
Supermassive's new thing got announced. Project Directive 8020.
Okay.
That is coming out in October. It is space horror.
Okay.
There's a claymation game, The Midnight Walk. That looks kind of neat. Onimusha 2 is coming on May 23rd.
Looks like they've got some details about the new Shinobi game. Remember, we were talking about that. Remember when Sega announced all those classic game reboots at the Game Awards 2 years ago and then kind of dropped them? Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Oh, that's got a release date too.
Looks like the also in August, weirdly enough. A lot of games for later in the year getting announced here.
Yeah.
Biggest news of the day, Days Gone Remastered.
Whoa.
PS5 Pro support, new modes, $10 upgrades for owners of the original version.
Okay. That's, I don't know what I was going to say there. The game has got a dedicated fan base, I guess is what I was going to say.
Yeah. Freakers, we call them.
Yes. There are people who will be excited about that news.
I would say bigger than that, Dave the Diver, Ichiban's Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Alex, time to get into Dave the Diver for you?
Probably not. I tried before. I think that game's okay, but it just didn't do it for me.
All right.
Housemark.
Oh?
New game.
Oh. What do they got?
It's called Saros. It appears to be I don't really know exactly what kind of game it is. It's some kind of a shooter, I think, maybe, but it's coming out next year.
Is this
sci-fi horror is what it says. Yeah, sci-fi horror.
Like,
it's like showing right now?
It appears so, yes. This is a live.
That's hilarious.
Is that one of the guys from that movie RRR? Is he the star of this?
I don't know.
Rahul Kohli?
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe. It does kind of look like him. Okay, no gameplay. It looks like just cinematics shown for this, right?
Okay, no, I'm thinking of a different actor. Sorry, that's on me.
Okay.
That Mind's Eye game is being published by IO.
Oh,
that's good on that.
That detail I missed.
Yeah, they've got some.
Oh, good on IO.
They've got publishing stuff going.
The new game from the Bends.
Where's that Bond game?
They're working on it.
It's still coming.
Okay.
Look, man, they're keeping the lights on for Hitman. That's all I ask of them.
Hell yeah! Look, IO and Hitman. I wish them nothing but the best. Really, I want to see them succeed so much. Like, I have no personal stake in their success, but their story feels like such an underdog story. I just want them to do well.
Fair.
I will be bummed out when they get consumed by some other publisher eventually. Well, that email from Vinny, what's going on with the state of play? There it is. There's your answer, Vinny. Video games are happening. Sounds like a good state of play. I'm gonna have to go check it out. Anything else you guys want to get to before we wrap up?
That thing is over, by the way. The Housemark game was the last thing they showed.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And we thought we weren't going to be able to cover state of play.
Yeah, here you go. Only the hottest coverage of games we mostly saw screenshots of on social media.
That's right. All the latest, all the hottest. Any other emails you want to get to, Brad?
We could do another one if you want.
Yeah.
Travis and Fargo.
Okay.
Back for more. I just found some old binders filled with DVDs and Blu-rays. Please rank the following movies from my collection to determine what I should watch next.
Okay.
Zodiac.
Mm-hmm. Very high.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nacho Libre.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Minority Report.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That Thing You Do.
Okay. Zodiac definitely at the top for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might put That Thing You Do over Minority Report.
Wow.
Just as a personal preference.
Is it that good?
I think it is, but it kind of depends on what you want. I like Minority Report a lot. What were the other two? Josie and the Pussycats and
Nacho Libre.
Josie and the Pussycats definitely after Minority Report, and then look, I'm not a hater of Nacho Libre. I want to like that movie a lot more than I do. It's not that bad. It's okay.
That was pretty early in the Jack Black craze, right?
And it was right at the tail end of the Napoleon Dynamite thing because it's that same director.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. I've not seen all of these. I really like Zodiac, though.
Zodiac is a stone cold classic.
I've not seen it.
Very
so
good.
One of Fincher's best.
Go watch Minority Report.
Also a good movie.
Yeah.
None of those are terrible movies, at least.
I don't know if I remember Josie and the Pussycats, and I've only seen parts of
It's
Nacho
fun.
Libre.
Josie is fun. It's one of those, like, we're doing a sort of slightly ironic twist on something from the 70s or 80s in the 2000s movies that actually didn't suck.
I thought that Scooby movie was all right.
I stand by what I said.
Can't change your mind.
No, I think the casting of the Scooby-Doo movie was great, and everything else was kind of dog shit.
Literally Scooby shit.
Yeah, that's a Scooby snack.
It was a big CG Scooby, right?
It was a CG Scooby.
Okay.
It was not good.
Okay. It was Matthew Lillard, right? As Shaggy.
And somehow we managed to loop this podcast right back around to Hanna-Barbara shit. We did it.
I know. We did it.
Well, full circle.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up for the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the state of play. And, of course, we enjoyed it as well.
And our in-depth coverage.
Nailed everything on that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a bunch of stuff going on. The Watchcast is nearing its end of the con, the month of the con. The con is on month. We are finishing out with The Sting, and then we have Parasite.
Yes.
So The Sting will be next week or the coming Monday if you're listening to this at the time of release, and then we'll have Parasite. I'm very curious to see, Brad, your take on Parasite. I recorded my take on The Sting. Maybe it'll surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the takes will surprise you.
It's on record.
It's on record now. Can't take it back. And then we'll be moving on to our next block of movies. Which, if you're curious, should hopefully be announced at during Parasite.
Yes, at the end of the Parasite episode.
So look for that going on in Watchcast land. I've been sitting on Never Been a Better Podcast for a bit. I tried to record them back to back to give myself a little more room there. So I can't wait to get into that edit and have that be extremely dated. But we were getting closer and closer with people's schedules to recording right at the edge of the month. So I needed to get them recorded like very close together to reset that thing. So that'll be an interesting one because all of us that are on those things talk all the time on microphones. So you will be hearing stuff that is definitely dated. But that should be going up next week. Never Been a Better Podcast. We got the Ramblecast. We got all the stuff over at patreon.com/Nextlander, where you can find a tier that is right for you. And there is one tier there, the Mysterious Benefactors tier, that gets their name read on this here show. And I'm going to read those names for you this week. Our Mysterious Benefactors for this week are Sean Miller, RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L., Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, The Deidre Factor, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Bunny Felonies, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo, and Tyler Treese. Those are our Mysterious Benefactors for this week. Thanks to everybody who has gone over to patreon.com/Nextlander and supported us.
That's the dumbest name I ever heard.
You got me.
Where does that rank on the list of well-known Simpsons references?
I mean, it's up there. That one makes me laugh every time.
I don't even know it, and it still got me, so I'm going to put it pretty high. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us again. What do we got going on coming up? Monday of this last week, Abby and I played some The Root Trees. We're just about done with that game. Probably got maybe one more little episode coming up. Thursday, Brad and I continue with the We Were Here to get into hopefully not as colorful a puzzle as the puzzles we have gotten into last time. Taxing.
Be nice to knock that one out if we can.
Yes, we're hoping to finish up. Taxing a bit of puzzling there. And then Friday, we are back with a grab bag. No X-Files this Friday. We're taking a bit of a break to show off a little bit of Civ 7. Maybe there'll be a little bit of digging of holes. We'll see.
X-Files will always be there waiting for us, It'll be there. Mulder and Scully will hold out a little longer.
They'll be okay.
Yeah.
Not going to bleed out just yet.
No, they got several more seasons of television to do.
So check that stuff out coming up. Keep an eye on the schedule. We will have some schedule changes coming up in the near future. Nothing too big, but we might shift around some streaming days. Might be a Thursday, might become a Tuesday. We're shifting things around a little bit.
I don't think you have that kind of authority. I don't think you can just make a Thursday a Tuesday.
Thursday can be Tuesday whenever I say so. That's power vested to me by our good Lord and Savior.
We really have gotten ahead of ourselves with these unelected decision makers, haven't we?
I've just been tapped.
Man.
Myself and these 18 to 25-year-olds have decided that this is the best day for streaming. Brad is shaking his head.
Are you big balls? Have you been big balls this whole time?
I can't.
Haven't heard that name in a long time. Alex Navarro, long time.
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know what you're talking about. I assume it's going to be
never learn.
You don't want me to go Google
never
that?
Never learn.
Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Alex. We'll be back next week.